comply with the regulation. Why? So first of all, in the first instance, you can see that it is the reform and it is a reducing your work. So when these 4 new codes will be implemented, so that the register you require to maintain in the form of record, so it will be reduced to the 11. Then the status in the form of the return you are submitting, so that will be reduced for just for 4 from the 2022. Then the license which is required, as of now there are the 2 licenses required, but further it will be increased 1 additional. Then there are the different type of the displays you require for the every applicable law in the organization. You need to be display the notice of that. But when these 4 new codes will be implemented, it will be reduced for the 13 numbers. Then there are the registration required. However, as of now, there are the registration required for the 5 number of the existing labor law, but it will be reduced for 3. Then the remittance it will remain same with the ESIC and PF. So here you can see that there is definitely reforms are happening, and it is reducing your work. He joined this program from Kapal, Karnataka. Welcome you here, and he is studying in the Central University of Karnataka, MSWHR. Welcome you here in this live session, and also you are getting the most of interacting learning from this program. We have specifically designed it for the professionals as well as your practical working. And John has joined from Chennai. Welcome, John, in this live session today. And furthermore, what is in this program exactly for you, so that I'm sharing with you. However, we have shared the detail and the schedule of this program, how this program is going to be forward today. So you have seen this schedule. So we have divided in the 3 different parts, in the 3 different sections. So first, in the first section, we will discuss about the present issues and elaboration with the new regulation changes and how that are going to be impact the organization. So one practical study and the case, we will discuss how the organization still they are impacting and suffering with the ban of the existing labor law, and then further the new labor laws are coming with the new regulations. So what is the change in that, how it will impact the organizations as well as the professional who are into HR as well as into the labor law compliance and management, and how you will be prepared and ready for the future that we are going to be discussed in this. And furthermore, in the second section will be totally based on the practical session where you will be learn how strategically you can manage the compliance. And there I will share with you some interactive and advanced tool how you can comply all the regulation in beyond the expectation of the authorities. One thing which we have practically seen in the organization, the people who are into the labor law compliance management, they comply the rule regulation of the law for their management and for the employer to impress them. But exactly you need to be comply with and prepare the regulation and the comply in the regulation of the law for the agency's perspective. So that tool I'm sharing with you here in this live session, that how you can prepare one step ahead to the agencies and you can comply more than 100% your organization against the regulation which is applicable for your organization. Then in the third section, that is totally kept for the question and answer session. So all your question and answer that will be covered at the end. So that's why here is the one request for you. So Ragini joined from Pondicherry and completed MSW and doing LLB. Welcome you, Ragini, in this live session today. So expect you will get most of the practical learning. This program is based on the practical learning from the organization. And when you are going for the profession, even that the profession is related to the HR as well as your labor, the law practices, so it will be help you in that practically how you have to implement. We will also share with you some strategies how you can start a career as a freelancer as well as a service provider in the labor law. Then, so one thing, there is 1 and 2 minutes I'm covering a little bit of the introduction of this schedule, so that you can you bring just your notepad and pen, because whatever the queries you will have during this master session, so just note down that, because I will cover all the questions at the end. So that's why we have kept this 30 minutes of specifically for the question and answer session. And Rahul has joined from Delhi. So welcome Rahul in this live session today. So this is the schedule of this program, but furthermore, what exactly you are getting from this program. So this is a certificate-based program, and you are getting a participation certificate from this program. How you will be get? We have a specific procedure for that. So I will share that at the end. Furthermore, you will also get there are the new norms which is going to be changed when the 4 new codes are going to be implemented. So there are some basic concepts for the HR and the labor law compliance management are going to be changed. So all that I am here sharing with you how you can comply with that, even though there is the new concept coming for the wage structuration, or how you have to structure the new wage concept or the your wage structure, salary structure for your organization you are getting for it. After that, or furthermore, you are getting the one broader perspective as well as the labor law compliance management portfolio development with this live session today, and where we will be developing the three layer of structure and process how you can comply with the applicable labor law is a requirement in your organization. And Rahul is working with the Reliance Geo, and welcome here again, and sharing your working experience and the organization. So this is all about this program which you are getting, and this is the certificate program. And at the end, I will share with you how the certificate will be, how you will get the certificate. There are some specific procedure we have, and here one thing I am sharing with you: the certificate will be generated on a Wednesday. So for that procedure, we took 2 days. So there you have to share something with us. So I will share that at the end. Now let's move further with and the another additional learning you are getting from this program, that is the career unique selling proposition and USP, so that you can grow in your career when you develop or implement this strategy which I'm going to share with you, or the system in your organization that will help you to build your credibility as well as the unique selling proposition where you can brand yourself and demand a money for you that will also help you to grow in your career. So now it comes today to the platform where we are interacting today, who we are and how we initiated this specific event and the organizer and when we have started. So here you are interacting with the SBR learning student. This is a gigs of the veteran professional of the field of HR and labor law who have the vast experience able to the more than 20 years in the industries, even to the MNC in the global as well as the Indian and the multinational companies for the foreign also, who has been working as a gigs for this organization. So this organization was established in May 2020 with the objective to provide the best learning professional platform to everyone. So specifically, it was with the objective to developing the professionals with the practical learning, which is one of the lacking field in the Indian context, where, however, the education is too much costly. They are focusing almost on the theoretical part of the learning, but the practical part, the actual expectation of the organization that are still lacking. So, with that objective, in May 2020, this organization was established. As of now, we are more than 1.5 years of So Rahul is asking, can anyone tell me at what time the session will start? The session has already started at 4 p.m. Do you have any confusion or do not understand that it is started or has not started? So it is a part of the session also. So it's required to share the intro of the platform where we are interacting today, and with the vision we have interacted here and what is the purpose of this organization. It is required to be shared with you. So So this organization was established with the vision to where we are focusing on the educate and influence the 100 million people by 2040. It is a long vision of this organization, and Every year, we are specifically on the mission to educate. Specifically, we are covering mostly the HR and labor law field, and there are the other fields also, but covering around 25,000 number of students every year. But this is not just connecting with the people, it is delivering a valuable learning to them and having with them the long-term association for growing them as a professionally and hand-holding with them for their learning. When this organization was established in 2020, it was only with focusing on the digital learning solution. But then after we have expanded with the other areas also, where we are focusing on the pan-India licensing services, corporate consulting, individual and group mentoring services, then professional Zoom for the different category of the professionals and the digital library services. But in the digital solution, where the main objective of this SBR Learning Studio, the digital learning platform. So here we are focusing on the 5 types of the solution for the professionals as well as the individuals. So it comes to that you have been provided the social platforms where you can interact with us. But however, furthermore, there are the other platforms where you can interact with the SBR Learning Studio for the future, where you have any queries to connect with us. So you can connect with us through email ID, so which have been shared with you. Then there is our website where you can explore more about us. We have a digital learning academy on the name of SBR Digital Learning Studio, where there are lending more than 15 number of the professional development programs. So you can check that on the website also, but here I cannot share it. Now it comes to about me, with whom you are interacting to, who is the facilitator for this program. My name is Shri Hassan, and I have done my BA, LLB, MBA, and I am a certified HR professional from SHRM. I have more than 20 years of experience working with the Indian organization as well as the multinational MNC. My last assignment was in Southeast Asia with one of the construction company. So as of now, I am supporting also the SBR Learning Studio as a facilitator for the HR as well as my most focus is on developing the platform for the labor law for the organization as well as providing the learning solution for the aspirant who are into the labor law as well as the professional services and the profession of HR. So this was all about the organization where we are interacting today, and then further it comes now to the what we are covering specifically. So as I have covered that in the whole schedules, so then it comes to the now we have to understand the nature of the labor law or the law of India. So when there in India, when any organization is established, so that is formed as a company. When it comes to a company, like this is one company that has the factory, that has the premises, that have the establishment. So in India, in all together, there are the 78 number of the laws which impact an industry in the 4 different categories. So that laws we have divided in 4 categories, that is the company related, financial, environmental, as well as the labor law. So specifically in this live session, we are covering mostly the law which is impacting the individual, the professionals, as well as that is also one of the part impacting the employers too. So that we are dividing into the 2 basic areas. So one is the primary law. Those are the law which are essentially required, where the organization need prior approval from the authorities to comply with the regulation of the law. And then the secondary laws are those laws which are important but does not require the prior approval. Sometimes it is more important than the primary, but the primary law are those laws where you cannot commence any operation in a premises without those laws. And these are specifically regulating and defining the employment, because any business, when it has been commenced, so it will be started with the people. When you are engaging the people, so it is the related to the employment. So most probably, the maximum number of the labor law or existing labor law which the professional, the HR people, or the specifically the who are into the services of labor law providing for the corporates, they are engaged with the, or they are specifically facilitating the services to the organization in the labor law as well as the employment law. So what are those law and the majorly the topic we are covering it here. So as you will not get the slides, but you will get the video recording of this whole session. So you can utilize that as a slide also, and that will be lifetime access for you. So what I'm sharing with you, what I'm explaining with you, you will get all that instead of slides. But furthermore, you will get more than 10 or 12 member of the ready reference templates which you can use for your learning and implementation at your organization when you join back tomorrow your organization for your practical aspect, so that you can easily implement this the portfolio which we are going to be developed here or learn specifically learning here for the future readiness of all the participants. So when we talk about the labor law or the perspective, then it comes to in the mind where or which industrial sector it applies. So when we divide the industry in even though it is not specifically for India, it is a global base, so it comes to that there are the majorly or all industries that can be divided in the three sectors. So what are those three sectors? So we can say that the primary sector, secondary sector, as well as the territorial sector. So when come to the primary sector, so primary sector, we can put all those industries which are into the natural process. It means the industries who just process the natural resources and their output or the final product will be just the natural sources, only the refining and processing of that. When it comes to the secondary sector of the industry sector or the industrial establishment, it is the broad and the most and biggest of the sector, where we cover most of the biggest organization as well as the manufacturing sector, because that is hazard based, that is the dangerous operation based. So that's why when it comes to the labor law, that are the labor law which maximum number of the existing law that apply to the secondary sector. So for that, here in this master class, so we are exemplifying the factories specifically, or the factories or many big that the oil field and other manufacturing sector that come under the secondary sector, and most or maximum number of the labor law applies to that. If you are working with those field, so it is going to be a most interesting and learning session for you. However, it doesn't mean that for the other sector like the primary as well as the territorial. So it comes to the territorial, the third sector of the industrial sector or industrial establishment, that is the territorial. Territorial means all those industries who are into the service, like your IDs, BPO, KPO, said that come in the hotel, motel, restaurants, that come under the sector of the territorial, where serving the organization with these services only, there does not required any dangerous process as well as the hazard process for the human beings. And one thing you also need to keep in mind, every labor law which has been enacted and which are regularizing the employment and labor in the industries that are specifically implemented or enacted with the objective of the health, safety, and welfare of the employee as well as the laborer or worker whom they are engaging, who are engaging the laborer or employee, so that is engaged by the organization, and that organization there should be one responsible person. As per every law, even that is a primary law, secondary law, that has defining every organization, there should be a responsible person who will be responsible toward the laws when its regulation need to be facilitated in the organization. So that is known as the occupier in the factories and the site manager, site location manager. So that is the occupier who have the ultimate control over the industrial operation, as well as that may be a factory, that may be shop and commercial establishment, that may be hotel, restaurant, who has the business owner who has the ultimate control over the business affair. He is the responsible person for the assuring and complying the regulation which is applicable to them based on these applicable labor law to that organization. So here, specifically, when we divide the organization or the establishment, that we can divide in the different area. So number one, in the secondary sector, there is the factories. Then it comes to the plantation. Then it comes to the mines also. However, the mines also one of the industry it come in the secondary sector. But further, when we have exemplified the maximum number of the industries that come in the manufacturing sector, that is the factory. So that's why here we will be exemplify about the factories, like how factories specifically, how the process of the level of compliance will be executed and implemented in the industry, and what is the expectation of these act which gradually changed when it was first time enacted, and till today they are gradually changing according to the environment or the working condition are going to change. However, in the future, from the 1st April 2022, the new regulation will be implemented with the 4 new codes, so that we are also going to be learn here and how you shall be ready and well prepared for those regulations when it is going to be implemented. So furthermore, when we have go to that learning for the future, when these 4 conditions are for the new codes are going to be implemented, so for that we have to understand the existing labor law and its impact to the industry. However, it is after 76 years of Indian independence, there are still many loopholes and open points for all the laws. And still in the future that will happen. However, we are focusing that the new codes are going to assuring the ease of business for the organization. What is exactly that we are discovering in the second phase, at the end of this first phase, so how it is going to be impact the organization as well as the professionals. And it will also help you to grow in the future, progress your career, how it will be helping to you, so that unique USPs I am here sharing with you how you can also develop your skill for the new professional requirement. It is a new opportunity for the professional to implementation of the new regulation of the law. So just understanding, like if you are in the factory or a factories, there are the many obligations which is obliged by the regulation of the Factories Act 1948. So the Factory Act is the primary law, because this is the law which is defining, regulating, and monitoring the working hour, condition of employment and services in the factories. So furthermore, broadly, it is required to facilitate the 3 major objectives of the labor law. So that is the health, welfare, and safety. Furthermore, when you are commencing a business or a business operation from a premises, so that requires the 3 types of the licensing and approval from the authority. So like they require the building plan approval, then your licensing, and then your renewal of your license on the periodic basis. Even though the rules are separate in the separate state, but rules that may be different in the different state, only the 3 parameters. One, the format which is required to fulfill the application for the approvals and the license. Second one, the structure of fee. Third one is the number as well as the serial of those formats which has been prescribed by the law, where you have to comply with the regulations. Even though when the factories has been established, where you have to first of all obtain the approval, then a license, and then you have to define the hours for the worker, adult worker. Specifically, why it is covering the adult worker, because you cannot engage the employee who are below than the 18-year-old. So that's why you have to define the working hour. It is a responsibility of the employer, and that are the defined obligation for the factories. If these obligations does not fulfilled by the employer, what will be happen? So law is determining that it is the punishable offense. And for that, the punishment will be for 3 years of imprisonment and fine up till 2 years, and that the fines for the 2 lakhs rupees and cancellation of your business license. if the business license of an organization or a factory that has been cancelled due to these obligations which does not fulfill, so what it will be impacted? It will impact in the three way your employer. One, their business will be closed, their financial condition, and their reputation in the market, because they are the financial people, they have the reputation, they have the customer, because it is the businesses are the most competitive thing in where there are these thousand number of suppliers, but one number of the customers. So competition is too high. So no employer can not accept it to close their business and lose the customer. So that's why how it can be assured. So that formulation we are going to share with you how you can assure the compliance in your organization, even though with the existing also and for the future. Similarly, the industries, those are not factories that are also covered under the regulation. So that regulations are derived from the shops and commercial establishment. Means similarly to the factories, the shop and commercial establishment act that is defining the working hour condition of employment for the industries, those are not shops and those are not factories, even though those are not in the plantation, mines, dock workers. So then, similarly, the organization they require to be registered their establishment within the 19 days. And similarly, as for the factory, that need to be defined the adult workers for their hours, then the prohibition of the employment of the children.
Sir, good evening. One doubt. My name is Harish Kumar.
Yes.
Sir, one next we come to back one chapter, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That is working hours. You can some companies will be have 8 hours, some companies 2 hours. What like that, like sir? What is standard?
However, the working hour does not define as the 12 hours. It is divided. The working hour should be only 8 hours. So it is
okay.
the extended for the 12 hours within the overtime. So that is the additionally if you are working for the 12 hours, but it is not regular. It is the illegal. If you are as of now, there is no such condition available. You can regularly work for the 12 hour. But 12 hour is for that you can engage any employee for the 4 hour additionally to pay them double of the overtime.
Okay.
Regularly, it cannot be happen because it is
compulsory. Is not any.
It is not compulsory because compulsory is only the 8 hours.
8 hours only.
Yes, if you have because then there is the business requirement.
Yes.
As per the business requirement, you can expand not for the all employee. If you are expanding the overtime for all employee, so that is also the illegal or the illegal practices, or the you can say that the unbiased practices by the organization. If anyone can complain to the department, however, as of now there is the many under table practice also, so that on the black and white you have the compliance with all, but it will be impactful for the organization.
Okay.
So however, whatever the question you may have, you can ask in the chat box. And furthermore, there is the 30-minute we have already kept for the question and so note down all your questions for it so that I can explain all those questions at the end for you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for asking the question here. So here we are talking about the different industries, how that required to be regulated. Because the law, the existing labor law, specifically we are talking about the existing labor law that are determining the working hour condition of employment. So that's why the law that are defined as the labor law, because that are monitoring the labors. And secondly, that are also confirmed as the employment law, that are also defining, regulating, monitoring the employment condition in the industries. So these are the laws which are defining the working hour and condition. Niti is asking, I would like to understand things from the IT industry perspective. So when it comes to the IT perspective, so all the ITs, it come in the sector third, the territorial sector, so it will be covered under the shop and commercial establishment. You have a restoration from the shop and commercial, because shop and commercial establishment act is the state enactment. However, it is similar where you have to that the facilitator, the three major objectives that is related to the health, safety, and welfare of the employee. And furthermore, there is the your adult worker. Their working hours should be defined. However, as of now, in that the except of the mines, so working hours are 8 hours as per the law. If you are extended that beyond that 8 hours, you have to pay the additional in the form of overtime for the category of the workers. But it come to the there are the however, as of now, the law is not defining the category of employee. Because when we talk about the labor law, it will be applied to the labor class or the blue collar class, and that class is who are engaged in the physical working and whose 90%, more than 90% working are physical. In the industries, in the industry like the manufacturing, shop, and commercial establishment, even though the employee who are getting the monthly wages, if overtime they are not getting, so it need to be designed and you need to be compliant with the regulation. So this will be happen if any complaint related to that IT industry will be filed with the labor department. Even though there are the IT related worker unions also, so it will be investigation and then you have to pay the huge of money. But further, here when we talk about the labor law, it is specifically for the people who are getting or who are drawing the wages, monthly wages below than the 25,000 rupees and who are in the maximum number of the physical. It is not applicable for the not it is not directly applied to the supervisor level, even though the office clerical also who is working in the offices. But furthermore, if they are drawing the salary below than 25,000 rupees, they will be comply with these regulation of the law. However, you can understand it from that the example, like there is a one that aeroplane industry and that aviation industry, there are the pilots. So that pilots in India or in we talk about India only. So the one pilot, so the minimum salary will be monthly 5 lakh rupees. So do you know that pilots is come under the provision of the labor laws? Why? Because he is a machine operator. He can complain in the labor department if any if he is thought that there is some discrimination based on the regulation which has been provided for the aviation industry. So aviation industry come also under the Shop and Commercial Establishment Act because that is a commercial establishment and that is providing the services because that are executed through a premises even though they are flying a machine. So that is he is the operator. So all that labor law that will also apply to them as a worker labor. So it comes to the shop and commercial establishment. These are the ITs, KPO, BPO, health food restaurant, which cover under the shop and commercial establishment, where you require to be registered that establishment within the 19 days, and further you have to define the period of rest for weekly holidays. Then their wages for holiday. However, every organization they are paying it all, but it need to be specifically you need to be evaluate your organizational policies if it is not happening there. So that's why we have started the initiative from the August 2021. This is a program to developing the professional how they can expand their potential for the labor law and they can also help the organization, the business owner, how you can comply with all the regulation of the law. Furthermore, under the provision of the shop and commercial establishment, so it is not the act. So we are talking about the labor law. However, the labor law that are monitoring, regulating, and facilitating the provision for those class who are getting these wages less than 25,000 rupees. This is the one condition of the labor law. However, there is the second example I have shared with you, the pilot who is getting the 20 that 5 lakh rupees monthly salary. It is also applicable to that similar perspective. But thing is that the people who are into the physical job and their working are above than 95% of physical, so he will become under the provision of the labor law. So they can complain in the labor department, they can complain in the labor courts, and their complaint will be taken up quickly. Secondly, the part is the another part, like where the concept as a corporate is the employee. Employee are considered that the white collar, which we have in the corporate jargon. So that has been divided into two portions. One is the blue collar, the second one is the white collar. So blue collar are those people who are working on the machines, whose working is above that and that more than 90% of the physical working. And secondly, the white collar, those people who are sitting in the offices, AC offices, who are providing the facility to them. But those people, out of those people, the clerical people who is working in the office also, if he is getting the salary below than 25,000, he will be complied with the regulations strictly. So that is the condition of the law. So that's why somewhere in the organization you can find that the organization, they are aggrieved with the organization, no, they don't have any that platform where they can complain. Because the organization also need to expand their business, and if the business is not happen or business does not exist, so how the employment will be existing. So that's why the perspective of the law, even though we are talking about the present law also, but the future will be happening, so we will discuss in the second section. So that section is related to the 4 new codes, how that are going to be implemented. So if the industries which come under the shop and commercial establishment, if you does not comply with these regulations, first of all, the registration, it is the legality or the legal confirmation for the employee. So working hours would not be applicable to someone whose pay is 20 lakhs. Working hour is applicable to everyone. Law are similarly applicable to the establishment. It is just understand where we have discussed about in the beginning. So this is the structure of the law. So there are around 78 of Indian law which are divided in the 4 categories. One is the company related, which regulate the companies. The registration like the companies, then it come to the MSME, then it come to the another like the small scale industry that come under the MSME also. Then there is the every company, every establishment, even that is startups also, that are established for generating of the financial. So that are the financial oriented. So there are the separate law which regulate the finance. Then there are the environment. These industries are specifically working with the environment that can be impactful for the environment. So there are the separate law which regulate the environments. Then it comes to the employment law. So all those which is considered as the labor law is a broad also. In between there are the law which is regulating the employment in the industries. So now it comes to the, if an employee who is drawing the salary of 20 lakh rupees, he is also the employee. And there it is also applicable that you cannot bound that. So there is one law which is the Bonded Labor Abolition Act. If you are engaging any employee above to the condition which is provided, so condition is that the shift should be 8 hours or working should be 8 hours. It can be expanded. So there is the period provided for the when he in joining or when he enter into the premises and when he go out from the premises within that time. So it has been defined for the maximum 10 hours in a day it can be. However, the law, anywhere, it is not, it is the concept of the organization they have been developed that is illegal. As per the law never say that you can, with a person who has drawing the 20 lakh rupees, he have to stay in an organization for 12 hours or 15 hours. It is not there. Law is specifically saying that it should be 8 hours or shift, but sometimes it can be a spread over of the 1 hour or 1.2 hour. Regularly, it can be 9 hours. So the spread over is covering specifically the time which required to enter in the premises and going out from the premises. So the working station hour has been defined 8 hours, Then there should be 30 minutes of the break. So 8.30 hours. Then it will be how much time it can take, at least 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So 9 hours has been considered with this spread over. So one employee should be stay in organization as a legally for 9 hours. If addition to that he is staying, so you need to be paying addition to their regular wages as overtime double of that. Law is confirming that. And it comes to the 20 lakh rupees that people who is getting drawing the salary wages or monthly salary of the 20 lakh rupees, and that employee is also conditioned by the law. You are bonding them, because what happened when we talk beyond the law? Beyond the law, the corporate had that concept that if the senior person he has to stay there. That is the culture. But specifically, you cannot make bounded any person to work beyond the limitation of the law. That the limitation of the law provided by the arts, by the law for the arts. If you are bounding any person, even though that there is the concept of the organization where you have to stay for 10 hours or 12 hours, that is a foundation. So there is the one separate law. If an employee complained to the authority for that, so the organization will be sued for that. So it is all based on the complaints. So that's why the people who are into the profession of the HR as well as the labor law compliance, so you need to be assured, helping your organization, helping your employee also. So then come it to the, first of all, there are the different industries. So that industries run through the people. Now you are engaging the people for your businesses. So there is the concept. However, the law are also backing that concept. One is the direct employee, second one is the indirect employee. So now in the new era, so there the maximum number of the organizations, they are engaging the manpower or workforce through the outsourcing. But the concept of outsourcing is just for the corporate. This is the outsourcing. But as per the law, it is the contractual manpower. So for that, every organization, they should be registered with under the provision of the Contract Labor Act 1970. And the agencies who are providing the outsourced manpower, they should also be registered and have the valid license for the providing the workforce to the employer. However, there is the condition when there are the 20 number of the employee, so you require that registration. But before 20 number, it does not require. If any day in your organization there will be the 20 number of the employee you are engaging, so that the contractor required, you are deploying to a principal employer, the contractor required to obtain the license for provide that service. However, the organization who are engaging the contract labor, you need to be registered under the contract labor to engaging any contract labor. If you are engaging 3, 4, 5 months, so you have to be get the registration for your organization or establishment. So why is that? Because law is saying in the history, it has been found that the employer, they were discriminating between the employee they are directly engaging as well as those who are outsourced. So that's why in 1970, the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970 was enacted and implemented for facilitating as well as protecting the three objective for the contractual labor also. So that is the health, welfare, and safety provision. So now it comes to the question that you have engaged the contractual also, you have engaged the direct employee also. So then it comes to the, can the employer engage them on the wages what they want? Means what the employer want, can they decide that their own wages? Yes, they can decide the higher level, but the minimum level, there is a law which is defining. However, the law are defining the minimum regulation which is required to be facilitated by the organization for every employee. So there is a law which was enacted in 1948 that the every organization, you need to pay the minimum wage for the employee whom you are engaging. So this law has been given the power to the state. So they will define or prescribe their minimum wage according to the condition of their state and the financial and their revenue and the financial status. So that's why in the different state of India, there are the different types of the minimum wages or different minimum wages. If you see in Delhi, you are working in Delhi. If you are working in the Tamil Nadu, you are working in Karnataka, you are working in the Maharashtra. So every state, they have the different minimum wage. So every state where the organization, even though now in the all the states there are the establishment, or even though that is the restaurant, hotels, which we have discussed in the beginning, that the three sector of the industrial establishment. So that every organization, they need to be follow the provision of the minimum wages. You cannot pay below the minimum wage to the employee. And secondly, you cannot bifurcate that wages which has been defined by the state in the different components. Many organizations we have seen, however, maximum number of it happen in the factories specifically, or the manufacturing units where they divide for the saving of some amount for the different. The contribution you have to pay like PAF, ESIs, for that you are bifurcating the wages. So that is the illegal practices. So you have to stop that immediately. If that is that practices you are following in your organization, you have to check that, because if the authority, when any instruction or complaint will be happen to the authorities by any person, so then it will be inspected, and further, if any obligation of this provision will be found or observed in the organization, so that the employer can be imprisoned or imposed to imprison for the 6 months. However, fine is not too big with the existing labor law, but further it will impact their images, businesses, and their financial condition. Then in another law, so in every organization where we had discussed about the three sector of the industrial establishment and estate, every organization where the employer, they are bound with the regulation, they need to be paid that the amount whichever is payable to anyone. That is regulated and monitored, defined by the Payment of Wage Act 1936. However, you can say that this law is implemented before the independence, but it is given the name, but it has been amended many times, and the latest regulation is that you need to be paid every amount whichever payable or due to an employee who has been worked for your organization, maximum number of limitation 30 days, and 30 days it is required. If that employee has been left, he is not resuming. But further, there is also the condition defined that the employer needs to fix the wage period. So as the law, it is considered if you are engaging the employee which is less than 1,000, so you have to pay the wages before the 7th of or completing of the 7 day or within 7 day of the wage period. So wage period is specifically the calendar month, and so that's why before the 7th of the next month you need to be assured the wages payment for every individual employee. Even if you are engaging the employee more than 1,000 numbers, so it is a defining that you need to pay every amount which is payable to anyone before 10th of the next month, which is further to the wage period. And even you are terminating. So there in the latest, when the concept of the 4 new codes or the news spreaded about, so there it has been come in that that who are the employee who are terminating and dismissing by the organization, their wages should be paid within the 2 working days. However, that provision was already available with the Payment of Wage Act 1936, but it has been strictly initiated or incorporated or defined in the new wage code. So we have the new code specifically. So we will discuss that in later when we will come to the 4 new labor codes when we are going to be discussed. Furthermore, you are engaging the employee, you are paying them, the employer are bound to pay them, which has been defined by the minimum, and then the time period you need to be, because the human beings, they need the minimum requirements. There is the shelter, fooding need to be served, so that for that you require to be, without money you cannot have these basic needs. So that's why it is also the right of the working class, and it is the, as per the objective of the labor law, that the welfare, safety, and the health. That's why you need to be assured. So why here now we can specifically come to how that can be assured. Who can be guided that? So it is you are the professional. You have to establish that concept in the organization so that you can comply with all the, and consult the employer how they can be comply with the regulation, so that for the long run employer can be safe, also you can be satisfied, the employer can also be satisfied, and your employer will also be satisfied, and then there will be a mutual relation between the employee and employer. Furthermore, there is also one law which is defining specifically the organization need to pay the bonus to the employee. So that is specifically about the profit bonus. Every organization which has been established, that is based on the generating of finance and the profit also. So ultimately, the profit will be generated by the employee who are working in that organization. So in the history, it has been seen that employer deprive the class of working from that paying some bonus to them. So that's why in 1965, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965 was enacted to assuring the minimum bonus to the working class, which is required to be assured by the every organization 8.33% of their salary or wages. However, there is one the exemption also provided for the new organization, but you need to be assured that if you are not paying that, you have to be have a consensus with your organization or your management that the exemption is for the 5 years of the new establishment. So it is started with the incorporation. It does not mean if you are opening any new premises. So it is not for that. It is exemption for the new incorporation. If any new company incorporated, new medium and small enterprise incorporated, it is for that. But every organization whose parenting company are already existing before 5 years of that commencing of any location, any plant, so that it will be applicable to them, you need to be assured that. And there is the one additional law which is specifically providing the right to the employee that when the organization are expecting that when an employee join to an organization, they should be work for that organization for the long run. Because when an employee is stable, he will be well proficient, he will be focused on the quality work, he can give the quality work to the organization. But in a reward of that quality work, what the organization and employer are paying to them. Earlier it was nothing. So that's why in 1972, the government enacted on demand of the unions and the labor class, there was the too much industrial unrest and labor unrest. So that's why, as a reward for the long services, the act was enacted and bounding the employer that you need to be paid some reward as a long services award to them in form of the gratuity. So it was defining the period for 5 years of services. So it is applicable for the every organization. So every organization, they need to be paid the gratuity to the employee for their regular completing of the 5 years. It is the statutory right of they can claim it anytime. So that's why, as the facilitator or administrator who are into as a HR professional who are taking care of the labor law also, or even though you are a HR, you should be well aware about the labor law, because that is defining, regulating the employment laws also. So that gratuity you need to be paid and you need to be assured it when an employee completing the 5 years of services. However, for the applicability and the payment, so there is the separate definition and condition for that. Completing of the 5 years, so it is required for payment of the gratuity Actually, it is the 4 year of completing and 240 working days in a year, so that it will be that employee will become eligible for drawing or claiming gratuity from the employer. Then after you are well aware about there are the social security related, or the when it is come to the employee in the specifically for the private sector. However, in the government sector there are the many services and the pension schemes up to retirement. But in the private sector, how those employees who will be get retired, who will be superannuated, at the age of 58 or 60, whatever is there, and for the corporate it is the 58. So how they will survive after the retirement? So there was a provision of the two law which is regulating the social security, the employee state insurance scheme as well as the employee provident fund scheme. So the provident fund scheme was specifically for benefiting and facilitating or protecting their health, safety, and welfare after the retirement. So that's why it is applicable to every employee. You need to be assured that, and every organization now with the latest amendments. So every organization who are having 10 number of the employee in their organization, they need to be covered with the employee provident fund organization, and you need to be deduct, recover, and the remittance of the contribution, and that contribution need to be submitted to the EPFO on monthly basis. If you are not, first of all, when there are the 10 number of employee in your premises or in your organization, you are not registering your organization, company, plant with EPFO, so it will be the obligation for the organization. Second, if you are covered but not deducting, recovering, and remittance the contribution, it will be the another obligation, and the for the employer, where the employer will be imposed with the imprisonment for 1 year and fine up to 5,000 rupees. However, it is the 5,000 rupees, but there are the many fine, whatever the amount which is applicable, which you are not paid, that will be recovered with the interest of 12% per annum. So if many of people, you may know about the cases of the 7.2 and 7A, which the maximum number of the organization faced from the EPF. So it was the scheme for the retirement which is required to be facilitated by the every organization for the employees. So then it comes to the during the employment. So there is specifically when the class, working class, however it is defining, there is the specifically the ceiling of the 21,000 rupees. The employee who are getting wages less than 21,000, they need to be covered under the Employee State Insurance Act. If the employer are not covered under the Employee State Insurance Act, so you need to be facilitated the same facility, medical facility, the medical health facilities, as well as the compensation facility for the employer. But this law means the Employee State Insurance Act, it has its advantage to the employer. If you are covered under the ESIC, you will be out from the liability related to if any accident happens, for their compensation or their medical claims, accidents, medicines, that the policy you are providing for your organization as a facility. It will be covered by the Employee State Insurance Act. So it is applicable for all the organizations. When it is applicable, who are engaging the 10 or more employees, you need to be registered under the Employee State Insurance Act. Then you have to be deduct, to recover, and a remittance, that a contribution which is defined. So in the latest, it is the 0.75% for the employee share, as well as the 3.25 for the employer share. So in the total, there is the 4% of the contribution you require to be submitted. It is a centralized law. And the rules are also regulated, defined, and monitored by the center. ESIC and PF is the centralized law, that is the rule defining, monitoring, regulation will be done by the central government and the central agencies. But the other law, so that are the act are centralized, but the rules are state specific, because the law has been provided right to the state to draft their rule as per their state condition or their that the policies. Then when it comes to the, you have engaged the employee, you have the provision for their future as well as their retirement and employment services also. But furthermore, every organization required to bound with the defined condition of employment. So the condition of employment, even though every organization, you can understand it, that like that every organization, they have the appointment letter. Why the appointment letter signed with the employee? That is the agreement between the employer and employee that the employer is rendering their services for some money which the employer is bound to pay to them. So in the appointment letter, so there are the many clauses even that require also to be vetted with the law, because there is one law, Industrial Establishment Standing Order, which is defining the condition of employment and code of conduct. However, if it is for the specifically for the manufacturing unit, if you are engaging 10 or more workers or the blue collar employee, you require to be certified. But further, there are the model standing order applicable for the every organization. When you have to define an appointment letter, so that you need to be referred to that's the Industrial Establishment Standing Order Act 1946. Addition to that, there is the new enactment which is required to be facilitated by the every organization. It is the one of the prohibitive law or the labor regulation which is mandatory for every organization now, and it is one of the big obligation for the employer which is required to be facilitated by every employer. So that is your POSH Act 2030, which is related to the sexual harassment of the women at workplace, where you are protecting them from any harassment. So there, the provision, specifically what you need to do under the provision of this law. Every organization who are engaging 10 or more employees, even there is no female employee, you need to be constituted this internal complaint committee. Then you have to frame the policies for that you are prohibiting, preventing and redressing the sexual harassment of the woman at your workplace. So it doesn't mean that the female who is working inside the organization, even though any visitor, even any client, any vendor who come to any premises, she will also cover under the provision of this law. Even though if you don't have the internal complaint committee, so there are also the district level or every area there are the local committees available, so she can complain there. So it is also bigger the obligation for the employer which required to be compliant with. So for that, you should be well prepared for that. It is required now. The practitioner also, the post practitioner, it is a growing, emerging demand for the organization, even though it is bounded by the Companies Act. When the obligation of the POSH Act, if not fulfilled, so there is a provision of the 1 lakh rupees of fine to the employer and cancellation of the business license. So these are the different law or the existing law which are defining the perspective, like the working hour condition of employment, wages, then a defining of the industry relation, defining of the social security, and defining of the condition for the employment and the code of conduct. But still, it is gradually changing, because as per the changing of the environment, changing of the global demand, global expansion. So that's why the laws are going to be changed in the future too. However, there are now the 4 new codes which are going to be implemented from the 1st of April. As of now, however, the date does not define, for it will be implemented from the 1st of March 2022 or not. But as of now, the confirmation is that it will be implemented. So what are these 4 new labor codes, and what they are talking about, what they are confirming, what are their regulation, and why it is required by every professional to be or organization required to be prepared in advance for implementation of these laws. There is something inside. So that something inside is specifically, you may have well aware that it is seen, it is known that it is the biggest labor reform in Indian history. But inside there is something else. Exactly, that is going to be impact the organization tremendously. However, it is providing the opportunity for the employee or the not employee for the professionals. Even you are a HR professional, if you are specialized or if you are specialized in the labor law, you know well everything about these four law and the existing labor law. So it will getting you the new career opportunities also. So how is that? So for that, we have to understand the provision and application of these four codes. However, these four new codes are not nothing new. It is the resemblance and the merger of the existing labor law. So there are the around 29 of the central law which has been merged under these four new codes and given them the name related to the relativity. So as I mentioned at the end, there are the law which regulate, define, and monitoring the working condition and employment and services. So there are the laws also which regulate, define, and monitor the wages, industrial relation, social security. So that it has been divided in this such specific condition which is defining by the law. So what it comes to, there is one that the wage code 2019. So there the concept is the new wage concept is coming, so that I am also sharing with you how you can restructure your wages or wage structure as per the new requirement of the concept in your organization before it will be implemented in the organization. So in the wage code 2019, there is nothing new before existing labor law, that the minimum wage act, the payment of wage act, the payment of bonus act, the equal remuneration. Three existing law we have already covered in this session, which has been merged with this wage code. And then the another new labor code, that is the industrial relation code 2020. The name has been given industrial relation code 2020. So that the existing labor law, like the Trade Union Act, the Industrial Establishment Standing Order Act 1946, Industrial Dispute Act 1947, and the Weekly Holiday Act 1942. The maximum number of the professional who are into the HR as well as the defining of the employment. They don't know the weekly holiday you are paying to the employee, that has been defined by a separate law. And then there is another law which is defining the working hour and condition, given the name of the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020. So there are 8 to 9 existing labor law that has been merged with this new code. So that are the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act, Dock Worker, Building Construction, Contract Labor Act, Interstate Migrant, and the Sale Promotion. Because it is defining the working hours. So that is for the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code 2020. It will apply to the every organization now. Even though earlier there was a separate, like for the factories, separate law, mines separate, dock workers separate, shop and commercial hotel separate, ITs separate. So now in the that has been conditioned a cumulative condition for all the industry in one rule, all in one code. Then there are the existing law which define, regulate, and monitor the social security, like we have discussed the two law. So that is the your ESIC and PF, then your gratuity also. So all those law which is specifically defining the regulation that how the additional services can be provided or facilitated to the employee. So that is your Employee Compensation Act 1923 in case of any accident happen. Then the Employee State Insurance Act 1948, it is the employment during the employment law where the medical facility provided to the employee by the organization. Then the Employee Provident Fund, the Maternity Benefit Act, then the payment of gratuity which we have covered, then the Building and Other Construction Worker, there is separately the Welfare Cess Act 1996, then the Employment Exchange also. So these are the number of existing labor law that are already existed. But the change point is that in those new existing labor law, there are many loopholes. So that's why every organization, there are the undertable or the bad labor practices where you are paying to the inspecting authority as well as the department, you have good relation. So that's why your compliance or of these regulation are confirmed and compliant fully in the black and white, but actually it is not. But now, when these four new codes will be implemented, every employee need to be comply on the ground, even though your relation will not be held. Because now it is going to be totally digital. Second, there is the one turning point inside. When we have discussed in the previously, there is the provision of the fine or imprisonment also. But that provision of the fine is going to be too huge, which your employer cannot pay or they cannot accept it. That is going to be so much. So that's why you as a facilitator, you as an administrator, you have to become the specialist into that so that you can help the organization. It will be helpful to grow your career also as well as help your organization. So just before understanding the four new codes, so first of all, understand that what is the historical reforms in that. However, so we have divided in the 6 different categories. So with the existing labor law, which we have discussed about the 78 law, so then we divide it into the 4 category, and out of those 4 categories, the 4th category is the labor law. So when it comes to the labor law, so there are around 29 or 30 existing labor law. As per those laws or the existing labor law, there you require to be comply with the regulation, different regulation that are like you have to maintain different records. Then you have to submit the compliance status in the form of the returns. Then you have to obtain the license in the form of approvals. Then you have to display many notices which are required to comply as a regulation of the law. And then you have to remittance the contribution which you are recovering, deducting from the wages of the employee. So what is going to happen as per the existing labor law, which is applicable as of now, because the new 4 codes are still not implemented. So when it comes to the records, so earlier there was the 40 number of the record which required to be maintained. So that's why this labor law working was considered as the non-profitable. Or mostly these are people who are into that, they consider it as the only the paperwork where you have to only fill the paper and documents, then there is nothing. But now it is going to be changed. You need to be comply with the regulation. Why? So first of all, in the first instance, you can see that it is the reform and it is a reducing your work. So when these 4 new codes will be implemented, so that the register you require to maintain in the form of record, so it will be reduced to the 11. Then the status in the form of the return you are submitting, so that will be reduced for on just for 4 from the 2022. Then the license which is required, as of now there are the 2 licenses required, but further it will be increased 1 additional. Then there are the different type of the displays you require for the every applicable law in your organization. You need to be display the notice of that. But when these 4 new codes will be implemented, it will be reduced for the 13 numbers. Then there are the registration required. However, as of now, there are the registration required for the 5 number of the existing labor law, but it will be reduced for 3. Then the remittance it will remain same with the ESIC and PF. So here you can see that there is definitely reforms are happening, and it is reducing your work. So that also known as the ease of business. But now, just see as what is exactly happening, the conclusion of these new that regulation which has been changed with the 4 new codes. So if you see the code on wages 2019, so there are the 4 existing labor law has been merged with this new code. So what will be the scenario before and after? However, when there are the different obligations which require to facilitate, if the employer does not comply with that, so what can be happen with the existing law? So there can be imposed a fine, and if there is a serious case, the employer can be imprisoned for the that punished with the imprisonment. So fine, it was a minimum 500 rupees, and the imprisonment that is the up till 6 months only. However, Under the Wage Code 2019, the provision of the imprisonment has been removed, but the fine, which was the minimum 500 rupees, that has been increased for the minimum 20,000 rupees and maximum 50,000 rupees. Now, there are the four existing law, their condition, their regulation, their requirement, there are everything available with this new code. If it with these four new with the code on wage or the existing four code, there is the around total five number of the obligations are not fulfilled, then the employer will be imposed with the fine of 2 lakhs and 50 rupees. Does your employer allow you to pay the 2 lakh and 50,000 rupees to the authorities when the regulations are not fulfilled? When you will go to your employer, they will kick you out. Second, it comes to the industrial relation code. There are also the 3 or 4 number of the existing law which has been merged. As per the existing law, so there can be for any non-fulfillment of obligation, minimum fine can be imposed of 100 rupees and maximum 5,000 rupees. But there is no imprisonment provision as of now. But further, in the case when the new industrial relation code 2020 will be implemented, the minimum fine, which was just 100 rupees, that has been increased for the 50,000 rupees. Just remember the numbers. In the first code, there, if the five number of obligations are not fulfilled, so there will be the fine 2.5 lakh rupees. And when the new code, if there will be the five number of the obligations which are not fulfilled, and then the fine will be imposed to the employer, it will be maximum 2 lakh rupees. Just divide it with the 5, so it will be the 10 lakh rupees. Now, with these two codes, the fine will be imposed to the employer 12.5 lakh rupees, 12 lakh and 50,000 rupees. And also the imprisonment under the provision of the industrial relation has been added or incorporated for the 1 year. Then this is the third code, that is the Social Security Code 2020. There the 8 to 9 number of the existing labor law has been merged under this act or this code. It is not act, it is the code now. And the minimum as per the existing labor law which has been merged under this Social Security Code 2020. So there is the minimum fine can be imposed the 500 rupees and maximum 20,000 rupees. And there is a provision of the imprisonment for 3 months minimum to 3 years maximum. But when the code of social security will be implemented, and if any obligation does not fulfill, so the minimum fine can be imposed for the 50,000 rupees and maximum 1 lakh rupees. So it will be cost for an employer 1 lakh rupees, because authority will not impose you the minimum fine, they will impose you the maximum fine. So with that, it will be the 5 lakh rupees of fine imposed to the employer. Now, the total fine that can be imposed to an employer for the 5 number of the non-fulfillment of the obligation under the provision of the new code, so that will be 70 lakh and 50,000 rupees. Then it comes to the fourth code, that is defining the occupational safety, health and working condition in the industries for where the 7 or 8 existing labor law has been merged. So within these existing labor law, there are the provision of the fine and the imprisonment. So fine will be imposed minimum 5,000 rupees and maximum 1 lakh rupees. And imprisonment, that will be minimum 3 months to maximum 2 years. When these 4 new codes will be implemented, so what will be happen if the 5 number of the just talk about the 1 number, if any obligation which are not fulfilled, so there it will be minimum fine imposed to the employer 50,000 rupees and a maximum 5 lakh rupees. So if the 5 number of the obligations under this new code, employer does not comply due to any reason, so that will be imposed the 25 lakh rupees fine. So total fine will be imposed 25 lakh rupees plus 17 lakh rupees. 35 and then 35 for 7, 42 lakh and 50,000 rupees fine will be imposed to the employer when these 4 new codes will be implemented. So now, just imagine, can your employer pay this amount to the authorities when it will be imposed to the employer. Never, because employer has the appointed the facilitator, the administrator, as well as the HR professional who will be deal with these law. Earlier, the organization they have the practices to pay 2,000 under table and your compliance are okay. But in the future, it is not going to be happen. So that's why in the beginning I have said with you the two things. One, it is the opportunity for you to grow or brand yourself as a specialist, and second one, you will also build your credibility in the organization. It will give the boost to your career in your organization when you working with the strategies which I'm sharing with you in the next step. So now here we have done one analysis for you. What will be happen or what is going to be happen when these four new codes will be implemented. However, there we can consider as the reforms also, or what are the changes is going to be happen. So first of all, what is the change or the reform? You can say that earlier with the existing level, there are around 30 number of the law which are applied to the different industries broadly. So there are the 16 number of the wage definition, because every law, if there is any case happen, everything, any difference or agreed between the employer and employer happen, that is based on the wages. So there was a 16 number of the different definition for the wages. But with these four new codes, there is given the one single wage definition consideration of all the four codes. So now your wages definition will be the basic pay, included the dearness allowances and the retaining allowances. However, as per the law, the wages in the corporate you have the concept of the CTC, but as per the law, there is no CTC concept. There is a wage concept, and your wage will be your gross wages which you are paying on monthly basis. So that should be included with the basic pay, and the basic pay will be included with the dearness allowances. Dearness allowances is for related to the fooding compensation for the increasing amount of the or increasing inflation. Then the retaining allowances for that specific position you are paying the retaining allowances. And there is also the concept of the new basic wage introduced by the under these four new codes. That is the your basic pay will be 50% of your total. So your basic pay will be 50% of your total wages. So total wages as per the law is your gross salary. So now when these new four codes will be implemented, specifically the wage code 2019, so you have to restructure your wage or salary structure in your organization. So gross salary, what you are paying as of now, what are the component is there as a retaining allowances as well as your basic and dearness. So there will be the 50% should be the base salary and other will be your retaining allowances. When this concept will be implemented, it will impact the employer and employee both on the financial that we talk. How? For the employer, the cost will be increased. When the basic wage will be increased, there are the many. The contribution or the social security contribution are deducted on the basic wage, and that will be increased automatically when this concept of the 50% of the basic wage will be introduced. But for the employee, when the contribution will be deducted on the basic wage, their in-hand salary will be reduced. So it will be impact both employer and employee financially. But further, what are the changes introduced in these four new codes? So there will be the separate definition for the worker and the employee has been defined. However, with the previous existing labor laws, there is no separate definition provided for the worker and the employee. However, as per the corporate concept, there was a concept for the blue collar and white collar. But now it has been totally divided with the new labor code, that the worker and employee. Then there is a concept of the floor wage concept established. Based on that, the minimum wage will be defined by the state. So one thing which I want to share with you, since 1991, there was no minimum wage was revised. Whatever the wages every 6 months that is revised, that is the dearness allowances inside your minimum wages, which is based on the inflation increased for the pricing of commodities. Based on that, the dearness allowances is increased. So that's why you thought that the minimum wage has been revised. However, since 1991, there was no minimum wage revises in India as of now by any state. So that's why the concept of the floor wage has been incorporated in the new wage code 2019, and based on that, every 5 years, the floor wage will be revised, and every state need to be revised their minimum wage. Then the contractor and the contractor labor definition has been added and incorporated in this new labor codes, and the provision related to the period of the payment of wage that has been revised. We have discussed in the payment of wage act. If 1,000 number of employee or below, you need to be paid the wages by 7th. But for if it is above to the 1,000, you need to pay it by the 10th. But with the new codes, it has been revised for the 7th to all number. And the standing order where the organization required to be certified, it is for the 300 number now. It has been increased from the 100 to 300. Then the grievance redressal committee, even that the industrial relation has been smoothened, then it is required that the organization should need to be constitute the redressal committee for every organization, for every 20 or the more worker you are engaging in your organization. So there are also the provision of the aggregator has been introduced. Then the gratuity period, which was earlier 5 years, and with this implementation of these new codes, it will be 3 years. Means if the law will be implemented from the 1st of April 2020, the gratuity period will be reduced for the 3 years. Then there is also the provision, every organization, you need to facilitate the free annual health checkup for every employee in the organization free of cost. It's mandatory. And also, there is certain benefits for the employee to be leaves. In the organization, that has the concept of the different 3 types of the leave available. But as of now, there are the 2 leaves, the sick leaves and casual leaves will not be carried forward or not be encashed to some organization, but it is now made mandatory by the organization, by the law, that it need to be carried forward and encashed to the employee and carry forward up till the 30 numbers. Then the employment of women up to 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. it was not allowed as of now in the factories specifically. But for the other organization, there you required approval separately, but it has been allowed under the provision of this law. And further, if you are engaged, so someone asked the question related to the 12 hours of working. The shift is for 8 hours. And if you are engaging any employee for the overtime or beyond the 8 hours of working shift, you need to be get the consent of that employee, and you need to be pay the double wages of their ordinary wages. So whole point that 12 is related to the limitation of the leave. So there in the organization, you are providing the 3 types of the leaves. That is the casual leave, sick leave, and earned leave, which is known as privilege leave also. So privilege leave is calculated based on the working, actual working, the employer, how many days he has working. The condition is that it is calculated based on the 20 working days. So it is for the factory, you are paying it for the annual basis. For the shop and commercial, you are paying it based on the, as per the law, which is a condition. I may hear, but I'm not sharing or confirming the organizational practice, but the minimum requirement which is defined by the laws, that I'm clearing the concept for you, so that it is, you can pay it by the every 20 working days. So there are the 2 another leaves, which is specifically for the sick reason as well as the casual working. So as of now, the organization or law is specifically provided that have not such condition that it can be carried forward or it can be encashed. So that's why organization, if the employee avail the sick leave and casual leaves that are remaining, and that will be less for the further year. But now with these 4 new codes, the condition has been applied or introduced that the casual leave and sick leave now will be carried forward for the further year, and it can be accumulated for 30 numbers. And after that, organization need to encash that. There is no provision of the lapsing of the leaves. When from the 1st of April 2022, before new codes will be implemented, you need to be implement these conditions also. So that's why you need to be well prepared for that. So now it comes to the what you have to do. So here one presentation we have prepared for you, what you need to be do. So everything will be based on your wages. So first of all, you have to restructure the wages of your organization as well as the wage structure of your organization. And it will be impact, so that here I'm sharing with you how it will be impact and how you can, this concept which I'm sharing with you, it will help you to restructure your wages as per the concept of the new wage code 2019. So just give me 1 minute. So now here I'm sharing with you what you have to do and what is the concept is going to change. So also now, every state or everywhere where the minimum wage has been designed, so that has the two components. So one is the basic wage, second one is the readiness allowances. So that is the minimum wage is defining that it is the number or the amount of the wages may be different in the different state, but the concept of the same of the minimum wage, because we are talking about the law is defining the minimum requirement. So that's why we will be discuss about the minimum wage here. Then it come to the next one, what the concept is going to be changed when the new labor codes will be implemented. So first of all, when the concept of the 50% of basic wage will be introduced, so what is going to be changed, or in what perspective that the cost will be impacted for both employer and employee. So first of all, just understand is the existing provision of the minimum wage or the concept of the different contribution. If you see for the provident fund provision, so as for the existing, so there is the basic wage, then the your structure will be divided in the like the house rent allowances, then conveyance, washing, or all together. If the minimum wage is 12,000 rupees, or you are paying to the 12,000 rupees, so there is a component of the 8,000 rupees as a basic. So contribution will be deducted on the basic wage. However, there is the ceiling of 50,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, and you need to be contribute or deduct the EPF contribution based on the 15,000 minimum ceiling. So in that case, you have to pay the 1,440 rupees as a contribution for the EPF in the existing scenario. But further, when it will be the minimum wage, you need to be divided further. So it will be increase the minimum amount of the contribution for the 440 rupees instead of the 15, because the 15,000 rupees concept will be reduced for the EPF or will be removed from the EPFO when this concept of the new codes will be implemented. So when the wages are lesser or lower, your contribution will be increased or impacted. But when the wages are higher, that your contribution or employer cost will be reduced somewhere in the minimum, because in the organization there are the maximum number of the manpower in the lower grades. So that's why the maximum law that are applied to the class who are drawing the wages below than 25,000. So when the lower salary level class will be available highest number, it will be impacted to the employer higher side. When it is a lower side, it will be impact to the lower side. Second, it comes to the now the gratuity you have to be paid. But as of now, the gratuity is paid on the basic. And when the concept of the 50% of the basic wage will be implemented, so you have to pay the additional gratuity to the employee. So it will impact or it will increase the cost for the employer. So secondly or third, it is now come to the compensation. In case of the any accident happen, the organization required to be pay compensation to the employee. So that will be in case of the retrenchment, closure, as of now under the industrial relation code, so that will be the helpful for the organization because it will be calculated on the basic wage. As per the existing law, it is based on the gross wages, so it will be help the organization to reduce the expenses to them. And then third one, the condition of overtime as well as the wages, what will be happen for that. So your OT that you need to be paid on the concept of the wages which you are paying to them. OT under the factories as of now, it is paid on the gross wages. But when this concept of the 50% wages will be introduced, it will be paid for the 50% only. So, then it come to the another one. So it is related to the further the employee who are coming in the provision of the income tax. So for that you have to also drive a concept of the income tax so that you can design a friendly, the income tax friendly structure for your organization. So that's why we have added all that concept here so that you have to work accordingly. This template will be reached to you as it is so that you can utilize it for understanding your organization concept and then structure your wages for the new codes. When the new 4 codes will be implemented, specifically the wage code 2019, you need to be assured the restructuring of your wages or the wage structure in your organization. So this is the template. It will be reached to as it is for your references and future uses. It will be in your custody. You can utilize it as it is. So now let's begin with the next one. So this was all about related to the specifically what we are covering the existing labor law as well as the going to be future labor law, what is going to be changed, how you need to be prepared for that. This was all in this section 1. So now come to the section 2. So what we are going to be learn in the section 2 before going to a break of 10 minutes. So it is 5:44 now. So in that, how you have to be develop the labor law compliance management portfolio in your organization. It is not for your organization, it is for you. So you can develop the new concept, how strategically you can implement and assure compliance of the new regulation in your organization, that we are going to be learn practically here. So there are the many types of the template we have designed for you, that you will be learn how you have to be fulfill that, how you to implement that concept in your organization, and that we will share with you as it is ready to implement. So there, we will be work on a 3-pillar of the labor law compliance management portfolio, which will strengthen your future career as well as your base, and also sharing with a unique selling proposition or USP for your branding as a professional or the labor law compliance specialist in your future to grow in the your HR professional. So now it is so this is specifically how to build up the compliance management that portfolio in your organization as a professional as well as the specialist of the labor law compliance. So what we are covering in that specifically, this portfolio will be based on the 3 pillars. So that 3 pillar is the 3 layer of structure, 3 layer of process, and then 2 layers of reporting. This will give you the USP for how you have to develop, how you have to present yourself as a brand or as a specialist for the career in now, because the labor law compliance is going to be as a new requirement for the organization where it will be in high demand. So for that, it is mandatory for you to align yourself with the strategic functioning of the labor law compliance specialist and work upon according to what we are sharing with you today. So first of all, when you have to implement the labor law compliance management portfolio in your organization, so for that you need to be understand the nature of the law. So for that we have divided it in the 3 different layers. Means the law In the beginning, I have been shared with you there are the two types of the law, which is one is primary and another one is the secondary. So primary law is that law which required prior approval from the authority to the organization to establish a business or commencing a business from a premises. Then it comes to the now the how the structure of law. It is not the primary, it is not the secondary, it is altogether the law have the three layer of structure. So first of all, that is the different approvals you require to obtain. So the approval required to obtain for the primary laws, which is defining the working hour, condition of employment, and others also, but that are the primary as well as the mandatory law for your organization, which is defining and that are the prerequisite for the commencing of any business from our premises. Then it comes to the another one. When that the approval you have obtained, they based on that there is specifically the instruction provided what you have to do. Now the secondary laws also come in the reference when you obtain that approvals. So there you require to facilitate the provision, and for those provisions you need to be maintain the certain reports. So that report you cannot maintain that based on your own things. It has been defined and prescribed rule that the documents and the required formats. So that has been prescribed by the law. You have to maintain the records in those prescribed formats and the designed regulation of the law. Then it comes to the third one. You have now maintained the records, facilitating the provision of the law, then maintaining of that record. So there is also required the third layer. So third layer is specifically now you have to share the status of the compliance with the authority. So that is in the form of the return. However, there are the prescribed format available under the existing labor law, and further, when the four new codes will be implemented, it will become into the it will become automated formats which you have to utilize, but you cannot do it in your own. You have to utilize the specifically all those formats which has been prescribed by the law. But further, you have to the structure of the compliance is first of all you need the approvals, even approval for the primary law also. With that, it has been defined in that approval the other secondary law you need to be comply with, and that will be applicable for the organization. Based on that, you have to maintain the records for all those regulation which are applicable for your organization. Yeah, possible. So then third one is the status of the compliance. So it is the structure that it is required because you are complying with the law, and that law which are applicable for your organization, it should be as per the requirement of the law, which you can say also inspection, you can say also the audit. So that similarly it has been prepared. So it will be for your easy understanding how you have to establish or that constitute this concept at the ground, and you have to implement. So that's why making it as the three layer of structure which will be easy for your implementation. So now when you have to implement it, so what you have to do, so you have to work on the background also. You need to be understand that the different the 30 number of the law, what is their essential requirement, and secondly is that how it will be complied with the regulation, what is exactly required to do by this. That we have also arranged such certain tools for you. Here is also that with this program you are going to be develop the four essential skills of the labor law compliance specialist. So that is the number one. He should be the vigilant. He should be the foresight. He should be accountable and responsible. So first of all, what you have to do, here we have prepared one based on the three layer of structure, that one template for you, which is we have given the name as the one of the template which is required to be displayed at your desktop. That is the final result of all your working, that will be cropped in the one three a page which you can display at your workplace as well as your desktop also, or in your desk so that it will be visible to you anytime. What you have to do in the future, what is the action you are going to take and where that action are. So that is the one of the master compliance master or calendar which we have prepared for you, that you need to utilize. So that will make you that foresighted what you have to do in the future and what is required in the next action. So here I'm sharing that with you, the template we have designed for you, how you have to utilize it and how this template will help you. So as of the three layer of structure, we have divided into three layers. So first of all, the approvals. So as in the beginning, I have mentioned with you or said that we will exemplify the manufacturing setup. So in the manufacturing, so there are most probably the factory. So there you require the factory license. Then you should have the non-objection certificate from the pollution, which is related to the environment also. Then you need to be a building plan approval. You need the non-objection for the fire also that is related to the environment. Then you require the ESIC and EPF for the registration for the contract labor. Then you rated the premises on lease, rent, or private also. So that all those approval, which is required, that we have kept in one page so that you can be vigilant for that what you have, what is your next level and what you are going to do, what is lacking there, what is your next step. Further, if you are engaging, if you are dealing with multiple locations, so you can add up there the current status, you can add up there so that it can be visible to you, you can see. So that's why it is also required that the people who are into the regular compliance, the activity should be on their fingertips. So this template will help you to get all the things on your template. Then there are the different types of the records required, so that you need to be, so that we have added all those records as of the existing level of which required for the factories, so that you need to be maintain their frequency when it is required and when is the status of their updation. What you have to do. So this is the final ultimate template when you done all the background activities. It will be start from the top to down here where we are learning, but when you have to implement this, you have to start from the base. Then reach to finally this template, and this will help you to make you more vigilant and foresighted. So that what you are going, what need to do in the next step, so that will be visible for you as well as it should be on the your fingertips. This template will be reach to you as it is, so that you can apply it at your workplace as it is there. You have to just only make the small changes. So changes that what is the different formats or their form number, so that in the state specific it may be different. So in the different states, the form number will be that different. You have to change according to that what the due dates are similar in all the states, but one and two state it can be different. So accordingly, you have to check it. Otherwise, it is as same. You can utilize it at your workplace too. Then third one, it come to the different that records you require to be submit as per the different applicable law for the factories, so that we have covered all that. So this template will be reached to you as it is for your implementation, further learning, and you can utilize. Secondly, you will receive the videos also. So when in the future you require to get the references of this format, so you can also match with that during the watching of that video and further referring this template, which will be physically available with you. So now let's start with the next. So this is all your structure, how you have to design the structure and how your specific, it is all the regulation of the laws, and that has the three layer of structure. Now it comes to the pillar number 2. So that is the next step where you have to follow the three layers of steps. Now it is the compliance process, how you have to implement this portfolio in your organization to assure the 100% compliance. So for that, we have prepared one broad. template for you, which will help you to audit or inspect the your current status of compliance management in your organization, so that we have specifically prepared based on the authority's requirement. So it does not mean that we have seen that organize in the organization, the people who are into the compliance, they prepare their compliance on the document only and present their employer that they have complied everything. When the government inspection happen, so their compliances are zero. So that's why there is the uncertainty in the people who are dealing with the compliances and the HR. So during the COVID, you have may also seen that the out of 10 number of the people who are into labor law and compliance, they are being kicked off. Out of 10, 9 people they have been lost their jobs and kicked off. That is the reason the people does not consider the compliance as a function of profitable as well as the learning from the deep. So that's why we have designed this specific program so that you can get a deep understanding and the concept of implementation. So here, what we have done for you. So here I'm sharing one concept which you have to utilize. This is also one of the checklists as well as the template which you can utilize in your organization to assess or evaluate the current status. So it is here I'm sharing with you. So this will help you to how you can evaluate or you can know the status of your compliance at your organization as your place, that does it comply with the required regulation. It is based on the every effective labor law which is applicable to the factories. So we have covered all that in which section what you have to be covered. So that we have incorporated it here. If any certificate required, however, we have filled up it with some the our client based also, so that you can refer it to what is exactly required by your organization and it is that available or not. However, we have also divided the concerned department who ideally should be responsible for assuring of the compliance and then the person who can be. So you can assign the person based on that. Then there is the periodicity when that compliance required to be fulfilled and the additional requirement and further action based on the your finding from your organization. So this tool you have to utilize. So here we have covered around 27 number of the existing law with its sections and rule and the basic requirement required for the organization based on the regulation comply, which needs to facilitate in the organization and required to comply by the organization. So this format has around 40 number of the pages, and we have covered all those. It is based on the actual the inspection and audit done by the government agencies. It is similar in all these states because when the inspection happens, so that will be all together combined of all the required law. Even that is the factory, so there will be the labor law, the wages law, the overtime, then social securities. So all that law will be applicable. So accordingly, we have defined all that required requisition or required clauses which require to be complied by every organization in there. And what you have to do with this format, you have to utilize this format, and then you have to check the status. Is it available at your organization or not? Then after, you will be finally get the what is non-compliance. So when you will get the non-compliance in, so for that, you have to now prepare an action plan. How you have to comply with that. This system will give you and help you to have a systematic process in your organization. Even though you does not require to report the system, when you implement, it will help you to report your working without your efforts to your management. So this template will reach you as it is for your working and your references. Then it come to the next one. When based on that, this provision, you have to go with the compliance process, and that process will be based on the three different layers. So first of all, it is the we have divided into three. One is the internal. Internal means you can do it by yourself based on we provided this structure. So for that, what you have to do, we have the pre-designed template. So you have to first of all utilize this format which I have been shared here. You have to be get the status, which are the points or which are the regulations which are not compliant. You have to identify that. When you have to identify, so what you have to do, you have to utilize this another template. So this is the planner. So this planner, how it will be work, so I'm sharing it with you here now. Here I'm sharing it with you. So what is it is the planner where you have to define all those areas which you have inspected and which you have identified during that all evaluation and assessment of your current status. Then you have to be there. We have divided as per the law which is applicable, what you need to be submit and what are the record you required to be maintained. So this is the planner. So then it is the requirement. It's a due date. You have to define it. However, there is the due date defined by the government. You have to define the due date as per your preference and time. It should be before the actual due date by the authorities. Then you have to define the plan. When you are going to complete it, then you have to check the status when you have completed it actually. So this template will help you to be more foresighted as well as you will become more vigilant, and then it will also make you more accountable when you define a plan for your activities and then execute it, and regularly you are evaluating your plan and have the control over there so that you can complete all those uncompliant point in your organization as soon as possible. So this template you can utilize there the frequency whatever you need to be do, so that we have added that this template will be reached to you as it is. So then the another thing what you have to do, so that the another thing is that, so best of all the best practice which is performed by the organization, so there you should execute a compliance committee. You will be performed as a labor law compliance administrator, but when you are implementing, yes, of course, we will get time for that. It doesn't mean that we will be wind up it by 6:30, but we will be go beyond it 6:30 also, so that we will complete all the queries. But you have to be spare your time for the, it may be go for the 7 also, up till 7. So then you have to initiate the compliance committee, so that what you have to do for that, just your senior people engage 1 and 2 3 people. They will give you the third party point of view based on this master template. Then the second layer is, now there are the agencies, maximum organization using the agencies for providing manpower, so they need to be comply with the regulations. For that you can utilize the template we have prepared it for the agencies too, that is on the second layer. However, the second layer can be used by the, if you are into the service provider to your compliant and to your client, so you can utilize that template. So how it will be work, so here I'm sharing that with you. So it is similarly based on it. However, we have designed it based on the contractual labor act where it is required. So there is the one contractual and another like the employment of provident, then employee state contract labor, as well as the minimum wage, payment of wage, that are the applicable law which is applicable to the your agencies, your vendors also. So what you have to do, you have to assess their status, what is due for them, and then you have to identify the status. Then what are your check the status of their compliances as of now. Then the findings, whatever you find that is the compliance, you have to be mark it here. Then finally, what is your further action? You have to incorporate that here. So based on that, you have to identify, when you identify all those points which are not compliant, you have to make the plan so you can utilize the first one set. Then you have to be, for the agencies, you have to give them a time limit or also initiate a quarterly audit process so that you can check, have a control over their activity to comply all the regulation which required under the provision of this law. Then it come to the layer number third. So layer number third, it is about that now you are complying all the regulation, but that regulation, who exactly will evaluate that? So that is based on the labor department. When the when the authority, they have inspection for your factories, for your premises, so that time you will actually get the result of your compliance. It is actually complied with the regulation or not. So that here I'm sharing with you one tool. That tool will help you how you can, however, in the beginning with this checklist we have, this is prepared on the government departmental, but how the government they work for the inspection to the agencies or inspection of the authority, that the organization. So that status I'm also sharing here with you so that you can apply it at your organization and you can assure the compliances. And when you utilize this tool, so you can also counter the authority when they come to your premises. They will give you some obligation and the non-conformity. You can counter to them because you have worked with this system, and then it will help you to counter the authorities too. But it will be it will required and it will become need in the future because now the organization they have the practices that the under table practice and many other practices. But further in the when the new codes will be implemented, then that practice will not help. So that's why you need to implement the provision of the law, or specifically which is required. Then after you can comply with the regulation of the law. So that's why we have arranged this document for you so that you can assure the compliance in your organization as per the required provision of the law. So this is specifically we have collected it from one of the state. However, the every organization, every state, the authorities have the same provision for the inspecting whatever the law applicable to in or the state or specifically for the organization. It will be based on that how they work, how they inspect, or how they generate the report. So it will be based on that. But the it is around 25 pages. It will be reached to you as it is for your references. But here, what I want to share with you, it is the structure of the reporting as well as the inspecting of the authority. So like how many the law applicable, their requirement, their section, their rule, what they are checking, and then what is applicable to your organization or not, what is compliant or not, they will identify or they will inspect it based on this template as well as this their internal structure. So based on this internal process of the authority, we have prepared that master checklist for you, which you have to utilize for auditing your organization, inspecting the compliance data in your organization. So for the reference, we are also sharing this template with you for your references and working for the future. So here, how the preparing the final reports for getting based on that all inspection and auditing, what is the internal processes of the authorities. So that all we have been share, we are going to share with you so that you can implement the level of compliance portfolio, assure the 100% compliance in your organization, and practically developing your skill for the future readiness of the your career success too. So this was about the pillar number 2, so that is the how you have to develop the process of assuring the compliance. So whatever the document I have shared with you here, so that will be reached to you as it is. Then now it come to the third one. So third one is specifically now it come to the reporting. You are an employee, you are working for an organization, you have your desire, you are working, you should be appraised and you should be evaluated, as well as your working should be appraised, and then it will be based on your reporting. Earlier, as in the beginning, I have been shared with you that the who are responsible for the labor law compliances, what they do, they just prepare their compliances on the records only, and it is for appeasing to the management. But finally, when the authorities inspect your organization, then your compliances are zero. So that's why most of the people that have been kicked out, we have seen many of the clients in the organization. There are the every year or every 2 years that the people who are responsible for the compliances, they will be kicked out. Reason? Because you, the people, does not consider it as a really required essential information and in-depth working for managing the compliance. Compliance does not mean only that having the maintaining of record. It is the deep understanding about everything, even though it is the law which is regulate monitoring the employment in the industry. So every your move, every your policy, every your action or the code of conduct, your agreement, your discipline, that is regulated through the law, and everything should be as per the that the regulation facilitated and prescribed under the law. So what you have to do for that? You need to be develop a deep understanding, and you have to learn that concepts which are required, the deep understanding for the implementation and regularization of employment in the industry. So furthermore, now you are also the employee in the organization, and further you are the service provider. Your services will be rewarded based on your performance. So for that you have to be a reporter. So that's why in the organization there are the many platforms where in monthly basis the organization and departments, they share their progress. There are the which is known as the KPI, BMM, or the monthly MIS sharing. So in that sharing, when you are adopting this concept, so there I'm sharing with you one concept that will help you to present your working within 10 minutes. However, when you're working with this concept, you does not require to present by yourself. Like the earlier the people have 1 hour of long PPT sharing. But finally, when the authority have inspection, then all that compliances are totally zero, and then the person will be get kicked out. But further, when you implement this concept, first of all, it does not require to be shared by your working. It will be automatically reach to your management that you have done a tremendous and the systematic work. But furthermore, there are the practices that you have to share. So here, one concept I'm sharing with you that you can present your working in 10 to 15 minutes. First thing is that when you work at the systematic way, it will be impress your management. They will have the maximum number of trust on you. That will build your credibility in the organization. So now, what you have to do? However, the people who are in the management, they are the business-oriented people. They don't have time, 1 hour or more than 1 hour to spend with you just sharing that what you have done. So here, the concept which I'm sharing with you, that will give you only the 10 to 15 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes where you can present everything to your management. Let's see it and understand it, how it will be work. So this is the one pager, and that how it will be work for the organization as well as for you when you have to report your working to your management. So this is based on the R3 layer of structure. So where the approval, then the return and the register you require to be maintained. If you are working with the multiple locations, you have to incorporate the locations here. Then the status based on your the location you have to be submit related to the your compliance status. So it will take around 5 to 10 minutes to sharing with that. And then finally, what you have to do and what is your next action you have to be shared there. When in between or when you share this within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, if your management ask about what exactly you are doing, what is your working, so that you can share. So here we have also incorporated this with the manual actionable. All that things we have incorporated that you can utilize it as it is with the due data or with the working, what you are doing and how you are done, how you have done that, so that you can also share based on their demand. Otherwise, this will be one of the strategic presenting model, that the one pager where you can convince your management with the 5 or 10 minutes what you have exactly done. So this is a template which will be released to you. You can utilize it as it is for your presentation with your management. Then it comes to the last one. So last one is here in your reporting. So that is the occasionally, even though then when any reporting or when any inspection happens, so biannual, occasionally, quarterly, annually, whatever you are sharing this, so you can utilize. But furthermore, here we are sharing with you one dashboard where we have incorporated around 19 number of existing labor law that will help you to every information which required by the organization for implementation in the your organization. So what is in this? So we have covered. So here is around 19 number of existing labor law. So we have covered all those laws like the contract labor act, apprentice, as well as the child labor, industrial dispute minimum, wage act, payment of wage act. So what is the requirement? What are the different formats you require to fill to whom this document, and how you have to maintain that, what is its frequency and what is the requirement with the different rules and law. So we have covered up all that for your easiness and others. So you do not have to refer for any books or any, you have to go for any searching on the Googles also something. So we have provide everything for you so that you can implement this concept by yourself without referring anything. If you have to refer, so you can refer to our video which we are going to be shared. So that will be possible already by tomorrow, and it will be shared with you through email, the link of that video. So you can refer all that, and in the future you can utilize it as and when or till then you require. It will be get to you full access till then you require for it for the your references. So it is all about the level of compliance management portfolio where we have discussed about the three pillar of structure, where the three layer of the pillar of the management portfolio, three layer of structure, three layer of process, and two layer of your reporting system. Then now it comes to the section 2. Then section 3 finally, where we are covering your question and answer. So just keep open your all questions. So I will cover all that. Maybe it will be extended till the 7 also. But before that, I'm sharing with you one next level of concept. We have one the level of compliance specialist program, which we have designed for the helping the organization in the not organization professional to progress their career in the labor law, because in the future it is coming to a new requirement and a strategic implementation of the labor law. So that's why you should be prepared for the future. So for 2 and 3 minutes, I am going to share it with you. It is the program that is designed with the objective that make you more vigilant, more foresighted, accountable, as well as the responsible, which are the 4 essential skills of the labor law compliance specialist. Then this is also designed based on building the credibility inside the organization as an individual as well as the professional, where you can enhance your career as a labor law compliance specialist and brand yourself as a specialist, where you can demand money as per your specialty. So, however, this is altogether the 30-day of a mastery program. So as of now, it was the live program, but now it is the live session has been completed, so there is only 2 and 3 weeks remaining. But further, it is the recording program. So for the recording program, what you are getting, so it will be based on the practical learning based program. So where you will get the lifetime access for the videos which we have covered. There are around 100 number of the videos. So where we have covered around 100 number of the hours also. But further, what is here for you? So when based you are learning on that the self-paced sessions as per your extended time. So there is also the query-based session on monthly basis. So there will be the two monthly live session that will be based on your query-based and your support for further implementation of those concepts. If you get confused somewhere, you can come in those monthly two sessions where you can get clearance of your queries, as well as if you stuck somewhere to implementation of the that concept of the this program. So this program is does not only the self-paced or the one-time learning, it is a hand-holding program where you will be get further every updates in those live that live two sessions, every application which you have any concern related to the learning. And also you will be get learning with the technique of WHTCS. However, the people who will be join this program, so they will have every Tuesday there is an orientation program for those people. How you have to access that at your digital platform. Every Tuesday we organize the live orientation session for those people who join and on the Sunday. So Sunday is the where we organize the live session, and this live session is specifically for giving you the concept and implementationable idea and template in your organization so that implement and further enhancing your career. We are covering the different the application of the existing all those applicable labor law which are impacting or which are applicable to the industry. So in that we are covering the 33 existing labor law and the 4 new codes also. So that whole the concept that has been divided in the 10 different modules. So that module is based on the relativity of the law. Like there are the 4 new codes that has been the resemblance of the existing labor law and that labor law which are related to their concept, their regulation, and their particularly what they are managing in that. So that's why it has been regularized based on that concept. In that there are the 10 modules. So that module where we are covering the 33 number of the existing labor law, like the all those law which regulate the working hour, condition of employment and service in the different industries. So we are covering that in the one module so that we can cover all those concepts in one module for all. Then the law which is defining the wages for the industries or organization, all those law we are covering in the one module. Then the law related to the industrial relation we are covering. It is totally the practical based program where we have designed a different template. That template will be reached to your CPU as it is for your implementation, and that is will be get you in the private custody. Then the law which is defining the equality and empowerment of women, that we are going to be learn the different perspective of these laws separately in the another module. And the other law which is existing law that is defining and regularizing the social security, that differently we are covering that. What is in that exactly? If there are the primary law which required the approval, so how and what are the document required, what are the procedures for that, online, offline procedure, what are the standardized template required that we have designed that will be ready to use the template which you can utilize so that you will be get with this program. And then law related to the prohibitive law where you have to assure the prohibition of the labor, what you cannot do or the organization are bounded with, so that how you have to comply under that. And further, if there you required any case happen with the department, you have to communicate with the such type of the template we have designed, and that vetted with the law and regularized as per the requisition of the law, so that you will be get with this program. Then separately, the one additional thing you are getting with that. However, as per the Companies Act 2013, there it is required every organization they need to appoint a company secretary. What is their job? How they work? So here you will be learn practically with the module number 8. Then module number 9 is related to the environment and disaster law, where the pollution prevention and fire prevention, how you have to comply with it. There are different provisions. There, how to obtain the NOC, and how further you have to be communicate with the authority to comply the different provision of this environmental law. Then separately, before new codes, we have already done all the practical aspect under the what you have to do, how you have to implement, what is their application, and what are the different structure, and what you have to do further in the future according to these four laws, so that we have separately in this mastery program. So altogether there will be 10 module, and in that 10 module you will be get practical learning about the 33 number of existing labor law as well as the 4 new codes. Altogether there are the 37 number of the law where you will be get 100 plus hours of learning. So that will be the self-paced. You can be learn based on your timing. You can be get reference for that, and you will be get the access for lifetime access for those video lessons. And however, furthermore, it is the hand-holding program when you stuck with and any update happens. So every 15 days, we will have the live sessions for 2 hours. However, as of now, so there are the 3 weeks, maybe within this February month. So there are the remaining parts of the labor laws we are covering the every week. So there will be live, you can also attend that. But furthermore, after that, there will be the live 2 sessions monthly to covering of the inquiry and the application or your queries in the related to the all this concept of the labor law compliance specialist program. However, it comes to the costing now. So for the costing, if you go with the specialized the institution, what they have, so you will be get the cost around 50,000 rupees. And however, you will be check out at Udemy, we are also available Coursera as well as our website also, you will be get the amount and that the price for 11,900 rupees for this. But we specifically expect the people from the live session where you have already become the member of our community. So where we are in the beginning, I have shared with you, we have our own the mission, or we have the vision for that, giving you a cost reasonable, very less cost of the learning, so that developing as a professional. So that's why in this live session we offer to the participant who want to go with this session or this this program only the cost of 2,999 rupees. However, this is not additionally. Furthermore, we are also giving you the additional access to the courses, that is the bonuses for you, which is essential required thing, or the courses for the organization, where one is the essential 2 days requirement. The website mastery program means you can learn with this, that the website design or website development. It will help you if you want to additionally generate the income as the freelancer. You can also utilize. But in the second one, the advanced Excel mastery, so these are the program which is costing around 28,000 rupees. But with this program, only this live program, we provide this access free of cost with this labor law compliance mastery program just for 299 rupees. So if you are interested for this program and want to go with this program, so here I'm sharing the link in the chat box. You can also try to check it here. And finally, so here, how you can pay for this? So there is the option one, you can pay the Google Pay and Paytm also. This number is reflecting on your screen, and I have shared the link to you. So we focus. However, here the pricing is the 3,299, but it is will we get you the 2,999 only. So you can check out it here. So here, finally, what you have learned in today, this is a master program. So here, how to build or develop a level of compliance management system in your organization to comply with the current regulation as well as to prepare for the future. But learning deep in that to become the specialist and build your career as a specialist, so you need to go with the courses also. However, there is a specifically prices very less and cheap price we have shared with you. If you want to go there, you can check out it here. But the live 2 courses access for the website design and the advanced Excel, which is essential required for the organization, so that it will be available for 2 days only. So this was all about this mastery program which we have covered here. So now you can ask your questions which we are going to answer here. So whatever the questions, you can ask it one by one in the chat box. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself to ask the voicing question.
Good evening. Thanks for this session which you have given. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I had a couple of queries, but these are primarily coming from the perspective of IT industry. And
Okay.
from what I asked you, what I understand is that while the Shops and Establishments Act might be calling specifically for it might be applicable for few employees considering the salary which they are in, but however there is some provision in the law that all the employees get covered, whether it is working hours or it is
Yeah.
the
However,
pay
what's the law?
regulations
The
and all.
law have two perspectives. One is
Yeah.
the employee based, second one is the organization based.
Yes.
When it comes to the organization based, so it is applicable for whole the organization. Even
Yes.
every number of people, that is the your managing director, who is the your managing director, he is also come in the provision of the law, because he is ultimately responsible for implementation of the law. So now
Yes.
what is, then it come to the second perspective of the law, because it is assuring the minimum. Because when we say that the law has the three objectives, law doesn't mean it have to that specifically torture the employer or torture the employee. When it is specifically for protecting the right of the employee, in first instance, when the law was enacted, it was related to the that protecting the right of the employee, and specifically the labor law that are defining the condition for to whom it will be. Because if the people who have in the supervisory position who are getting higher salary, why they are not covered under the law? They are not covered because they can move easily. They have the resources because they are paying higher. They have the resources. But those people or those employees who are actually working physically, or as I mentioned, only those people, maximum site, they are covered under the law who are working physically. Physically means whose working condition are physically 90% and above. So that's why they people don't know their rights. They people can be, because that are the mostly the number of workforce who are working for the employer, because all the supervisor manager, they are only the people who are managing, who are giving the instruction. So that the lower level working class, that can be harassed by these people, even directly or indirectly. So that's why the law is protecting only this class. In first instance, it does not mean that it does not protect the another class too. So there are also the law available, but the procedure is a little bit flexible. Like if an employee who is in the supervisory or manager role, who is getting the salary above than the 25,000 rupees, any employer has to or terminate him. But he cannot go to the labor court, his application cannot be submitted. That can be accepted by the civil court also, but you have to go for the longer provision. It will be go for the civil court, and then it will take the longer time. But for those class who don't have backup with them, who don't have that time, who don't have knowledge, that is the specifically in earlier when the law was implemented, so that it was treated as illiterate class. So that's why protecting their right, so that the employer cannot harass those people who is the working class. So that's why
Got
it was
it. Got
protected
it.
all into this provision. So this
Sure.
is the concept of the law. So now, what is your next code related to IT?
Sure. The we have a lot of freelancers
Mhm.
right now. So are they considered as contractors?
No, freelancer is not as of now contractor, but as of now means, because as per the contractor labor, so it should be one agency. So there you are engaging the individual, you are not engaging the agency. So as per the contractor labor, there is the condition when any employer, they are engaging the manpower through the contractor or any agency, when they are engaging more than 20, that required, that will be covered under the contract labor, and you required the a license for the contract labor, but you are engaging the gigs. Means freelancers, they are the gigs. However, in India, as of now, the concept and the security as well as the regulation of the law for the gigs are not available. But further, the new codes which are going to be implemented from the 1st of April, as of now, it is does not confirm, but it is just coming in the news that it may be possibly implemented from 1st of April. So there it has been specifically incorporated the gig economy or gigs freelancer, specifically providing them the social securities.
Okay.
One second. It one day, any one day in contract level 20 will be coming in register.
Yes. If there is any day, 20 number
Any day.
of the, any day, any in the proceeding 12 months, when on a register, there will be 20 number of the contractual. It is
One
for the,
one example, one day you can maybe 19 members is available. One day, one monthly, one day will be that center will be 2% he can left. Another 2% will be adding. How will be totally head count will be coming 22 coming. How that is okay?
No. It is only for 20. For example, when in your muster roll, how your muster roll work, you cannot remove any person. So there should be the 20 coming. Monthly. But in the in any day, even that there is a 80 number, then one left, again it come to the, you added 2, it become 90, then one left, it come again 80. Then one day in your register, then no one left, but you added one person, or it become 20. When the date it become 20, so it means it will become applicable for you. You have to be compliant.
Compliant. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
You have to be compliant.
That center will be any option is no problem. Only you can 19 only you can follow.
Yes. After that, if it will be 19, so you have to be compliant. It will be applicable for when in the master applicable for. Yes, you need to be compliant with the condition of the Contract Labor Act 1970.
Exactly. Okay. I said he can starting day, he can coming on that.
Yes.
Is no, that is he can only is maintain that's all.
Yes. So it is for the applicability first. Then after you need to be maintained. Even though then after when it first time there will be 20 number, and then after it is a 10 number, it will be applicable for you, because in your register or master roll there will be the 20 number of people in one day of preceding 12 months come in your master roll. Or anything, so that you need to be compliant with the regulation of the Contract Labor Act.
Form 5 will be registration, Form 6 will be license, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is for contractor. So with the first you in the Form 4, somewhere it is different in the states also. Form 4 is provided it is for Tamil Nadu. So Form 4 is specifically provided by the employer as a certificate of engagement to that contractor. Based on that, you have to apply in the Form 5 to the contractor that you not the labor department, that you are providing the service of contractor to that employer. Then when the authority are satisfied, they will issue you the certificate in the Form 6.
Okay.
So this is the procedure.
Okay. Another one questions in the employees in maybe one company will be have start minimum start any employee permanent employees will be union will be start in otherwise union not there in way after you can running any that like available.
Sorry, please repeat the question. I did not understand it. You are talking about the unions.
Unions means you can starting in our 5 years company, new company is union is not there.
Okay.
Union you can any started 5 years completed in a not union no record in only temporary employees you can keep done work it can done like okay or not okay thing.
It is not saying that the union cannot. Union is the group of that is specifically the group of the people or the employee. So that is for the protecting of the right of a worker in the organization. So it does not mean that it required 5 year or 6 year. So it is depend on your relation. If your employee they want to engage the union, so you cannot deny that. So furthermore, if you are engaging the contractor level, so for some time you are out of the liability of the union, so you cannot accept the union in that. But furthermore, if you have a direct employee, they want to form the union, so you need to be accept that. This is their right.
You so what comfortable.
Yes. However, the union, which the purpose of the Union Act does not that it was the creating of the panic in organization, but due to some reason that the
Okay.
union leader they created that, it was earlier with the objective when it was accepted for the objective to have a mutual understanding between employer and employee. Together they can perform better to get the business ahead. But due to some clashes and the employer harassed the employee, and then after the union act, trade union act that has given some rights, so that's why the union also harassed the employer. So that's why it become in the history the biggest issue for the union related issue for the employer. So that's why it was that understand that the union are not bad, but union are good, but they have given right by the law, so you have to accept that. But it is does not that it is required 5 years, 6 years. There is not mentioned in the law that even though you have the organization and after 1 year your employee they want to form the union, so you cannot deny that. You have to accept that.
Okay, so I
It's not any rule.
Yes, sorry. Yes, please.
yeah, I also wanted to understand from the way.
See, this
Uh, uh, Harish Kumar, could you just ask your question first so that Niti can ask later on,
okay,
otherwise
okay,
in between.
okay,
So just
okay, okay.
one person please ask all those questions, then say that I don't have any question, so that another one person can also ask the question so that I can answer all your queries.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, now Niti, please ask your question.
Thanks. So I wanted to understand that from a wage structure perspective, you are saying that there are going to be couple of changes in the new Wages Act, which will come. Your PF will increase, your gratuity will increase, and
Yes,
everything.
of course.
Uh,
So that
so
yeah.
yeah, so I have seen that in few companies we have things like fuel allowance, driver allowance. The limit which is there for these is much more than what the IT Act provides for. You know, like maybe 20,000 per month is what is given as the fuel allowance or something. So is that can we do that?
Because why that you are divided? When there is a senior member, there is a driving allowances or some fuel reimbursement. Why that
Yeah.
is? Because the IT Act income tax is allowing some exemption. Like there is the child education, there is the
Yes.
washing allowances. Why is that? That is exempted under the provision of IT Act from the income tax. So that's why there is the provision of the different that the component in your salary structure. But first of all, when we consider the law, as of the law is saying only the three component. One is your base salary that will be included your dearness allowances, and second
Yes.
one is your the retirement, not retire. It is your retaining allowances. Retaining allowances means which you are giving to them retain that position or that person. Then third one is the retirement, like your contribution. So that is the legal definition of the your wages. Now it
Okay.
comes to the income tax. So income tax is specifically it is attracting the tax on the resources, means services provided by the employee. Employer is paying the payment to those employee, and based on that, TDS is deducted. That is also known as the TDS, tax deduction on the services or sources also. So that is for when you have to be if the when the law was enacted. So that's why there was given there are the certain essential required expenses. If the all wages or all amount you are earning, if that all will be covered under the income tax, so what will be your saving finally? Your money will be going to the income tax. So that's
Yes.
why. So that's why what it has been done. See, there are these some necessary that expenses which you cannot stop or you cannot have any provision for that. So that has been added in the exemption. Like there is the exemption of 150 lakh rupees directly. Then after there are the washing allowances. There are your LTA leave travel allowances. If you are on the leave travel, that is exempted from the income tax because you have expensed that money. Then there similarly is the washing allowances. Washing allowances for that you have washed the clothes, for that you required some soaps and detergents. So for that expenses, it is the regular expenses. You cannot save anything in that. You have to be incurred that. So that's why it is exempted. Then similarly, it comes to the driver salary or driver allowances for the senior employee. You have a vehicle, but furthermore,
Yeah, but what about the limits? I mean, is the
you are
limit?
talking about the limit.
Yes. Is the limit like 20,000 per month or so, as defined in the IT Act?
Or the However, there is not a defined the limit that it should be 20,000. It should be something. There is a defining the minimum limit. So that it will be depend on the organization also. However, it is a minimum around 12,000 rupees, which is required. So it is depend on the organization where you are structured, who has been structured your salary. So it will be depend on that. So minimum limit is for driving salary as per the law. It can be the 12,000 rupees only, and it will be exempted. But furthermore, you have to pay the tax on that. Similarly, it is your like LTA. So LTA is around, you can add it with the 24,000 rupees annually.
Yes.
Okay, so there is the 22,000 rupees monthly only, and similarly, like there is the medical aid. You are giving the medical aid or medical allowances. So medical allowances will be only 1,250 rupees minimum. So around 16,000 rupees annually, that is exempted. If you are paying above to, then that will be that attract the income tax also. So you need to be pay the income tax. So that's why in the every year what happens, you collecting the expenses from your employee for provisional basis in the beginning, then at the end the actual basis, so that you can calculate all the taxes. Then finally, what happened in the March month when the calculating of the taxes? So in the every month you are deducting your tax for an employee, for example, 10,000 rupees, but in the last February or March, it will be 5,000 or 8,000. Why is that? Because in the beginning it was a pro rata basis, and then at the final you have done it all that calculation based on the actual thing, which is
Yeah.
specifically that defined by the Income Tax Act. So Income
Yeah.
Tax Act is defining the minimum limit that where you can provide the exemption. If it is above than that, the deduction will be like it is similarly in the case of the your house rent. So house rent
Yeah.
limitation is the, if it is the 10% or it is 10,000, even that house rent will be the 50% of your basic wage. So it can be the 50,000 some positions. So the
Yeah.
maximum limit it is for the 10,000 of monthly only.
Yes, yes. So actually, my query is that if suppose for your driver's salary it is defined as 12,000, but the in the company it is said that you are eligible for 20,000 per month, and the employee is able to show salary receipts also of 20,000 per month. Maybe the driver is charging 20,000 rupees. Then will the tax rebate be on 20,000 rupees or on
No,
12,000?
it will be only on 12. So what exactly the driver is charging what? So why you are paying to that employee the driving allowances? Otherwise, you can pay separately to driving allowances in case of, so driver somewhere the driver also are getting the 25,000 also. Maybe the driver also he is paying the 15,000 also.
Hmm.
So as per the act, the IT Act, so it is the for the exemption only because you are paying that driver, you have driver for your vehicle. So that is the monthly expenses which you cannot see. So that has to expense anyhow. So that's why there is the limit. You can charge up till this is based on the policy of the organization, where the policy company say that you can charge this or you can claim this. So income tax does not say that, it is based on the company policy. So company somewhere the company have policy, it is the minimum that you have defined it for the 12,000 rupees only, or some company it is 20,000. We have seen many companies also they are the like monthly salary of the allowances giving to the employer, that 3,500 giving to the employee 35,000 rupees monthly as a driver's salary. Why? Because their structure is too big. Because component are same for all the, even with one employee whose monthly salary is 50,000 rupees and another employee whose salary is 5 lakh rupees monthly. So that's
Yeah.
why you have to increase the component. So it will be percentage based. So it will be depend on the how you design your salary structure.
Yeah. So special allowances, which are, I mean, these are in a way anything which goes beyond the limits which are defined by the IT Act. They are in a way your special allowance only because they are taxable to you.
No, but when you understand the taxable, what is taxable? Even though you are divided that in the many taxes, many allowances or special allowance, even that it is a composite of all taxes, even though you can also divide your salary component in the three component only, like basic, then HRA, then special allowance. So you can divide in that. The law does not say that you have to divide it in the 9 component or only the three. However, it required only the three. Basic, then HRA, as well as the HRA is tax exempted. So that's why HRA should be separately. Then it comes to the another one, like washing. Why added in washing in there? Washing is exempted under tax. Then there is the medical also added. So that is also under the tax exemption. Then there are the conveyance also, child education also. So these are due to the tax exemption so that you can give the tax-friendly salary to an employee. However, even you have the three simple component in your salary, so it will be attract the total whatever you are paying to an employee, the income tax. Then there will be when the calculation of the taxes happens, so there will be that the whatever the exemption like 1 lakh, 1 lakh and one is the limit, the minimum 25, 2 lakh and 50,000 rupees. Then secondly, 1 lakh rupees additionally, and 1 and 50 lakh rupees or 2 and 50 lakh, then total 5 lakh rupees you can keep aside. Whatever is
Yeah.
the other, whatever is the
No,
other remaining amount that you have to deduct the income tax on that. Even
yeah,
though
yeah.
you
No, I get what you were saying, but my question is that then if the Act has already defined that maybe your limit is only 12,000 for driver's salary, then why does the company need to give 20,000 as your eligible amount for driver's salary? They can put that extra 8,000 amount into special allowance only, na? Because it will not have any.
yeah, they can put it. So it will be depend on because driver also getting means what you are paying, what driver is paying, so that you need to be consider the employee also. Na? You should not be in policy very strict about the law only. So you have to consider if the your employee is paying driver actually 18,000 rupees. When what I am considering when the policy has been designed in your organization, so that has been considered what is the market salary for a driver. So that is the average has been defined in your policy. So accordingly, because when the driver is paying the salary, so when you negotiate or you have the recruitment for the particular position where you are paying the driver salary, so he will be say that the driver will be paid with the 20,000 he asking for that, but you cannot pay them the 12,000 rupees only, and the remaining he will be paid from his salary. So that's why you need to be fixed up that the market rate of the driver.
Okay. So that is notional only because
Yeah, that is
yeah,
notional because
yeah.
the tax is only for the exemption purpose. So
Oh,
exemption will be only on the 12,000 rupees, which is
okay.
the latest limitation. But further,
Okay.
you need to be consider that the employee perspective also. What is the market trend when the your CHRO or who are the strategic people when they design the policy, so that it does not be it does not on the rational basis that the employee you have to pay only this much. Altogether, you are only paying this amount same to even you are paying them in the different component in another component. Altogether, you have to pay that amount which you have finalized with them or negotiated with that particular person during their interview or their acquisition. Then you are talenting acquisition of that particular person. It will be during that. If you have defined that your salary will be 45 lakh per year, then you divide it in the monthly. It should be your CTC monthly like 16 lakh rupees and so on around 12 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees, 9 or 8 lakh rupees monthly. So you are paying to him the 8 lakh rupees. Even driver
Got
salary 25,000 rupees or 12,000 rupees.
got
You are
it. Got
paying. You are paying the only. Na? So that is for the perspective. What is the market rate when you have to design the policy? So it will be when you have to go for the benchmarking. What are the what is happening?
Yeah.
What will be the for next 5 years? So considering the policy based on that, because you cannot revise the policy every 6 months or every year, every 2 years. So it should be considered within the 5 year of span.
Got it. Got it.
So that
Okay.
is the reason for me you should not have to stick with the that the IT is also asking for some IT is defining for that. It is specifically for defining the minimum that exemption for the income tax rate.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And if we have, suppose, the leaves right now are split in CL, SL, and PL. Now,
Mhm.
suppose instead of that, we, in our company, we decide that, okay, let's have 25 leaves. We don't divide them into any category. And they will be treated as privileged leaves only.
Mhm.
So, is that something which is doable?
So your company come in the IT. IT is also under the shop and
Yes.
commercial establishment. It is okay. There is no issue. However, sick leave is also defined under the shop and commercial establishment. So you have to be additionally give the sick leave to them. Otherwise, when there any inspection happen, so that it you need to be revised, it will be implication for your organization, because sick leave and casual leave, however, in if you are in which state, like if you are in Delhi, so there is a sick leave or casual leave only 4 and 5 only. In some cities is 7 and 7. So but it is minimum in Delhi 4 and 5 you have to give that. So in altogether you may have to composite in the 25. 25 how? There is a 50 number of the EL which is known as the earned leave. Then
Yes.
5 and 5 and SL and CL. So altogether it is the 25. So this is your that the corporate concept only, but legal does not confirm it. So you have to give it separately, or you have to maintain the record. It does not mean that you are giving it to the employee 25 together, or you are dividing into a different component. But further, as the perspective of the law or complying of the regulation of the law, you have to give it in the, you have to maintain the record in accordingly. Like the EL separately based on the 20 working days, and then SL or CL. If you are in a Delhi, so there is the 5 and 5. If you are in other state, there is the 7 and 7, like Haryana, UP, and in Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, so that are 7 and 7. So it is the state specific. So accordingly, you have to give the minimum number.
Okay, Haryana, it is 7.
Haryana, it is 7.
Okay, 7. So you are saying that from a compliance perspective, even if we have given 30 leaves and we are calling them 30 privilege leaves, we still have to show a bifurcation for sick
So
leave.
you are
And
giving the privilege. When the definition of the privilege leave, so privilege leave is specifically whom has been earned. So it will also be based on the policy. If you have the policy that minimum is only based on 20 working day of one. When it comes to the law, so when you are giving the name to them privilege leave, it is coming as a earned leave, even though that is under the shop and commercial establishment, that is under the factory act. When it
but
comes to it
what if
comes,
we don't, no, what if we don't give any of this? We just say that you have 30 leaves and they are incashable.
who is saying?
No, what if we give such a feature that you have 30 leaves to our employees,
Okay.
if we are saying this, that
Mhm.
you give 30 leaves, which is probably far beyond what the law is saying. But we don't categorize it either into privileged or casual or sick leave.
So it is you. I am telling you, it is your corporate concept, but law does not consider it, and law does not back it. Law is saying law is dividing separate. Law is defining a minimum. Like there is the privilege leave, which is known as a earned leave also. Even you go to the factory act, or you will go to the shop and commercial establishment act. So there it is defining that on the 20 number of actual working days, you have to be paid the one privilege leave as well as that is known as the earned leave also. Then it comes, there are the other law. There is the every state. There are the separate law related to the sick leave, national holidays, and sick leave and the casual leave, separate law available. Even though in many states, shop and commercial establishment back to this law, the casual and sick leaves. So when it is a casual and sick leave, so you have to define it separate. However, altogether in the corporate, you are giving the leaves that are the totally privileged leave of 30 days in a year. But in the law perspective, you have to define it based on the law which is applicable in your state. One is shop and commercial, so that is around minimum 15 leaves you are giving to them. Accordingly, it will be based on your policy. And second, see, there is the state law. Even though in many states it is not available, like Haryana. Haryana is also the law, so that is the casual and sick leave for the industrial establishment, which is known as the National Holiday and Sick Leave and Festival Act 1946 something for Haryana. So based on that, you have to pay the casual leave and sick leave separately. So that
Sorry,
you can divide it. However, altogether you are giving 30. For complying of the law purpose, you have to maintain the record in same format.
Okay,
Sir,
got it. I think Mr. Harish wants to say.
Yes, Mr.
Oh.
Harish.
the same question.
Okay.
How many days will be yearly? One guy will be how many days he can working complete 240 or 200 leave working days he can give to 1 day leave. How many days, sir?
So it is when it comes to there are the two perspectives, the Factory Act as well as the shop and commercial establishment. It is giving the provision for that you have to pay the earned leave. So when it is you have to be paid it as per the Factory Act, it is defining that you have to pay it after 240 days.
250 days.
Yeah, as per the Factory Act 1948, you have to be pay or you can eligible to avail these law. It is related to the employee, and employee will be eligible to avail the earned leave as per the Factory Act after 240 days.
Working days.
Yes, 240 days. So second thing, when it comes to the shop and commercial establishment, so shop and commercial establishment say that the employer can pay an employee one provisional leave based on their 20-day work. Means one person has been work for 20 days, so he is eligible to avail that one leave within next 10 days. So this is the difference between Shop and Commercial Establishment Act as well as the Factories Act. So in the
What if you take holiday in leave in between? Then
Sorry?
also PL will accrue.
Sorry.
When you are saying that after 20 days employee is eligible, what if he takes a leave in between? Will PL accrue for that leave also?
In between means?
Like suppose from January 1 to January 20, the employee is working. Now, ideally on January 21st, he will accrue to, some PL. Correct?
No, so it is depend on if you are talking about the new employee. If already the employee is existing, he has already earned leave in previous year that has been carried forward to the next year.
Yeah, let's talk about the new employee only.
New employee, he has joined. He has joined from the 1st of January, and
January.
then yeah, in Shop and Commercial and before 20, because before 20 is not date, it is based on the actual working of 20. In between there are the Sunday also, so that does not include in the earned leave. Earned leave will be include the actual calculation based on the actual working. If he take the leave in between before completing of the 20 days, so law does not say that you have to be paid it, so it will be the unpaid leave to that person. It will be depend on the organization, but there is no law backing. Law is saying that it will be after 20 days only. You can avail that after. If it is before that, so it will be leave without pay to that person.
But there are every organization recognizes some number of leaves. If 25 leaves are recognized by the organization and the employee is using those leaves, then in that case, why will that be unpaid? Or why will that not accrue? Why will that?
Why not? That is, all the leaves are pro rata basis. The leaves are provided for throughout the year. That is not for 1 month. So that's why if you are paying 25 leave, one person joined on January, in February, can he took all those 25 leaves? No.
No, not all those. Suppose if he takes one leave, suppose if he takes within the pro rata limit.
So there are so that's why law is defining the different component of the leave. Earned leave will be that he can avail after completing of the period. So that's why there are the sick leave and casual leave. Sick leave, if he fell sick, like he joined today, and an employee there the third day he fell sick. So in that case, the sick leave is backing to that you have to be grant that leave. It is only in the case of EL. So what I'm saying here, in the case of EL, so that's why there are the separate leave. So you need to be define it in the separately. Like the earned leave is only those leave which he has actually earned on the actual working. So definition for the earned leave is he has earned through actual working. Sick leave is specifically for the sick reason. Casual leave is for the casual reason. So in that case, what is happening now? So if the new employee join in the beginning of the January, 1st January, so you are giving as per the law 7 sick leave and 7 casual leave. That is for the throughout the year for 12 months. So now in case of the casual leave, so how many leaves one employee can avail on pro rata basis? So that may be possibly half. So in that case, if an employee he required with that the first month he required a leave, so you can pay him half. It is eligible for him. He can avail that. But for full, you can have the provision or a policy for that in certain cases. Some emergency cases, you can approve that from with the special approval. However, the leaves are on pro rata basis.
Yes, exactly, sir.
Sure.
Okay, so leaves are on pro rata, so that's why the law is defining the definition as well as the purpose of the leaves are different. If you
Okay.
are paying a cumulative leave as a privilege, so it is as per the law that are the privilege leave which you require to be paid after the 1 year. Even that, as per the shop and commercial establishment, you have to pay based on when you have earned that. So if you are cumulatively giving the 25 days, so it will be as per the, you have to define the calculation for that. Not 20 days, you have to reduce the calculation period. Like for every 10 days, you can avail 1 day. So you have to define the policies. But as per the law, you have to divide the leave in the 3 categories. One is the privilege leave, which will be earned by him by actual working. Another are the sick leave and casual leave that are for backing of the case. Casual means something maybe happen. He was not aware that, but by chance he have to take the leave. So that's why casual leave has been granted by the law. Sick leave is for the anyone can fall sick. Sick may be reason of the physical sick or accident also. So that's why the provision of these leaves was made by the law, backing up the people and securing their wages so that employer cannot also discriminate that.
Sure.
This is the reason behind the implementation of law and protecting these all these provision as well as the right of the people. Any further question?
So one last query, sir,
Okay.
and I also wanted to ask from you if there are any future queries. Do you also have any such program or where we can engage with you and ask our queries? Is there
Yeah,
any
of
such?
course. You can also, you have provided the WhatsApp and the Telegram groups. So that is the our lifetime access community for you where you can ask the questions. Otherwise, you can ask on the emails. If you have any query, so every Sunday we organize this class, and this class you have already joined it and you have paid. So you can get access to this. That the link will be provided on that platform every Sunday when the class will end. You can join that. So it is free of cost for further. But however, the certificate will not provided for that. Certificate will be provided for the paid class only. So you can join if you have any query, you can ask the query. Otherwise, if you have any query, so you can ask anytime on our platform. There is a Telegram WhatsApp group. You can ask the query. So it will be resolved, and as soon as possible, you will get the response for that. However, the third way where you can get connected to us, that is the email ID which has been shared with you. You can also write the mail to us, so that mail reach to me also, that mail reach to our promoter also, then the other member. So they will be answer your queries as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, and it was really nice.
Okay, thank you so much for
a lot
joining.
Yes, yes. If you may allow me, can I ask one question?
Yes, please.
Yes, actually, I have seen in few companies what they do is they give you 5 CL and SL even in Gurgaon, and they do something with the Saturdays. Your Saturdays are working, and then I don't know how they manage, but this I have seen in few setups.
What is the law? Law is saying that weekly you have to 48 hours working on. Weekly, you have to 48 hours working. So when it comes to the 48 hours, so what they do, so in the every day they increase 1 hour. That
Okay.
is no that 1 hour of 30 minutes. So their everyday working is around 9 hours. Then they give the 2 Saturday off as well as the all Saturday off. So Saturday does not mean that backing by the law for SL and sick leave. So it is based on the requirement hours. So law does not say that you can reduce. Law say that you cannot go beyond that, but you can reduce that. It is up to you if you can manage your financial, if you can manage your working. So it is the privilege you are giving the additional privilege to the employee, to giving them additional holiday as a paid. So there does not any issue with the law. So that is the reason how the people they are managing. So what they do, so they just in every day they increase the 30 minutes, because the law is saying also you have a spread over, you can additionally add the up till 9 hours. So 9 hours, that is backing with the entering in the premises and going out from the premises, that is the spread hour. Spread over, which is known as a low spread over. So you can accumulate all that hours within this spread over span.
So, sir, then in that case, in 5 days only, you are completing 48 hours. Suppose it is
Yes, of
9.5 hours. Then how come, there are companies which will say that even Saturdays are open for you,
No,
and then they will reduce the CL and SL also to 5. Some startups, I mean, I think in startups, they try to do this.
annual leave and sick leave, so it is as per the law, because the minimum leave, this is a shop and commercial establishment, so that is providing the 5. So there is the two law also available. One is the Factory Act, one is the shop and commercial establishment. So
Yes.
Factory Act is applied to the factories. When it comes to the startups, so that are the like maybe ITs also something, so that come under the shop and commercial establishment. So there
Yes.
is the provision of the minimum sick leave and SL, they can reduce it 45, but they cannot pay it less than 5. Okay,
Oh,
so that is the provision how they are managing that.
okay, they can reduce it to 5, you are saying.
Yeah, because factory is saying that you need to be pay 7, but for these factories it is applied to the that Haryana, they have one law, that National Holiday and Festival Act, that the sick leave and SL. So that is a separate for factories. But it comes to the shop and commercial, so there is the provision of the 5 leaves also. So accordingly you can manage it. Maximum what you are giving, it is up to the organization, but the law is backing the minimum requirement.
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you, sir. It was really nice talking to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And one additional thing which I committed in the beginning. So your certificate will be generated on Wednesdays. For that, what you have to do, you have to share your name, what you want to mark on the certificate, because we does not regenerate the certificate if there is any mistake. So that's why we ask the participant that you have to share your name, even though through WhatsApp, through email. So what the name you want to mark on the certificate, so that the certificate will be released on Wednesday. Today is Sunday. Monday and Tuesday you have time to share your name with us through email or as on a WhatsApp. So then Wednesday you will be receive your certificate through email. So that is the soft certificate. You will be get print on that on hard paper, so that it will be yours.
Okay, name only as you can write it, sir. Mail.
You can write it.
Okay, name only.
Yes, name. So everything you will become that. So you just have to name. Only mention that this name I want to mark on the certificate. So whatever your name you want to, that is the email. You do not require to that long that mail you have to be written on. And one additional request from my side. So how you find this program, how was presented and how was delivered by me. So just share your feedback on the group as well as on the email. Possibly email or the group also for your testimonial and the further improvement.
Okay. Another one question, sir.
Yes.
You can more than 8 days, 48 hours. You can continue working, and other days after in 48 hours after completed, one day you can give to leave.
Can you repeat the question again?
You can continue. You can 6 days working, 1 week. You can some week or production will be going. You can continue also working another Sunday also regular working. Another next 6 days you can continue working. More than in 15 days you can continue working in a minimum. Maybe in 6 days you look working. After you can one day give to leave. That like in having.
There is the law provision. So there is the compensatory law provision. So within the 10th day, like he can work for the 9-day regular, 10th day you need to pay him, you need to give him the compensatory off. That is a one solution. Or otherwise, if you cannot give him for the next Sunday, so in between you have to pay him as a overtime for that additional working. So additional working. Yes, you have to pay. If in a Sunday he has worked, otherwise, there is a one thing that you have to pay him the compensatory off. Compensatory off means he will be off from the work, and you have to pay him the average wage. Then second is
that extra.
Yes, okay. Extra. That should be average wage, double of the average wage. If you are paying, if you are paying Sunday, yes, if is because which you have defined the weekly off, you are allowing or you are calling that employee on the weekly off to work. Then as per the law, you have to provide them the compensatory off within the next 4 days. So within the 10th day should be the compensatory off to them. So second solution is that if you are not, due to some reason you cannot give them compensatory off, so what you have to do, you have to pay the overtime for that Sunday. You have arranged that person, you have called that person for working, that Sunday should be, that overtime should be double of their average wages.
Okay.
So that is the solution for that.
Oh, okay. Next, another question. Standing order will be any one time will be again will be changing coming. How will be preparing in any government? I know, sir.
What about the standing order? So standing order is specifically for the factories. Number one. However, the another industries, they can use the model standing order which has been defined. So there is a changes happen. Earlier it was applicable for the 100 number of the worker in your organization. Now with the new code, it has been changed for the 300. When there will be 300 worker in your organization, you have to get the certified standing order.
Where?
It will be from the labor department. So labor department is the that certifying authority. The labor commissioner is the certifying authority for the your standing order.
Oh, okay. Can labor department
Yes,
help you?
labor department. So
Okay,
you have to submit the 5 copy of your draft to the labor department. It is not a labor department in local. It should be your state labor commissioner. When there is the area level like the district level labor department, you do not have to apply it here. You have to apply it in your main center, where the commissioner is sitting.
Okay.
So like in the Tamil Nadu, the commissioner sitting in the Chennai, so that even you are in the Coimbatore, you are in the Kannur or somewhere where your industry, you have to apply the application for the Chennai only. Labor department or labor commissioner Chennai. He is the main authority sitting in the Chennai.
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
What is mean by registration of establishment in shoppings 90 days? What is that? I don't know.
That is 90 days you require to be registered. So that is under the shop and commercial establishment is the law which is regulated by the state. So you have to register with the municipality area. It come under the municipality area also. So you have to register there within 90 days.
90 days you can register.
Yes, somewhere in the state it is required. Like there is a minimum number if you are engaging the 5 number of employees.
Otherwise, shopping commercial is not in 90 days, not in any registration. What you'll do?
If not any registration, so you have to register that.
Okay.
You have to register because every shop, shop and commercial establishment registration of your establishment, that is, if your shop you are not registering, it will be illegal. If you are registering it, it will become the legal entity now. So that's why you require to be registered your establishment.
Okay. What another question, sir?
Yes.
What is primary law and secondary law?
If you talk about the primary law and secondary law are those laws which are mandatory required to an organization. And secondly, it required the prior approval to apply in the organization. Like there is the factory. So factory have the 5 or 6 primary law. Like there is the Factory Act, first one. It requires the prior approval when you have to commence any business from any premises. Then there are the PF and the ESIs that are the primary law where you require the prior registration or registration for that. And secondly, there are the contract labor. If you are engaging the contract, you require the prior the approval or registration under the Contract Labor Act. Then the pollution, fire, that all are the primary law where you require the approval. So that is the primary law. When it comes to the secondary law, like the Payment of Wage Act, Minimum Wage Act, Bonus Act, which are mandatory for your organization but does not require any approval from the authority.
Okay.
Any further question?
You can women's in week. How many you can starting? How many working hours you'll be working in company?
For women, so it is similarly same for the men also. So there is no difference between the women and men. But however, there is the condition that women cannot be engaged beyond 7 p.m. and before 6 a.m.
Okay.
But in the new code, so it has been also allowed or incorporated that can be allowed. But as of now, you require the permission for that. If you are engaging the female for the beyond the 7, or in there are many organizations, they have the shift like in the morning 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. But after 7 p.m. you need to get approval from your labor department or within your standing order. If you have the shift system, if you have a standing that the system of the different shift, you need to get the standing order approval for the female engaging the female in the different shifts.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. These are all you can on mail. Will be send me. Sir, these are all presentations. These are all code that are all you can on mail. Will be or you can send me.
Yes, you will be get the mail on your email ID where you have registered my email ID. You will get all those documents which we have shared and additionally some documents for your references and future working. However, the presentation will not be. We will not share the presentation instead of the presentation. So tomorrow you will get the this video recording. So you can utilize that as a presentation. You can take the screenshot of that video and you can utilize that as a presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Other document which I have shared the template that you will be receive as it is so that you can implement it. It will be a ready reference template for your implementation and learning for the future.
Okay. The legal documents, the legal codes. That's all.
Yes, everything.
Okay. Thank you. You can now will be for new law you told. But is when will be that start of establishment done already? You can when will sir that
Implementation as of now, so it is which is the news and government has been confirmed. However, it does not or notified in the official gazette. So it is confirming that from the 1st of April 2020. But however, it is now February 6th. So it does not mean that it will be implemented from the 1st of April because still many states out of we have 28 states and 9 union territory. So out of these states, only 16 states have drafted their rules. So there are the 12 number of the state are still remaining who does not draft their rule. Before that, all the state does not draft their rule, it cannot be implemented. So it is still not possible that it may be implemented from the 1st of the April 2022.
this is now will be compulsory now implement. This will only follow up. The old wage code will be follow up. That like maybe this will be end of one date. Will be giving this only can this wage of
Yes, possible. It is possible that the wage code may be implemented. However, there are also still many open or there are many delay or that has been applied in the Supreme Court. So further, there are many loopholes, the internal committees that are also working on this. So possibly it will also take time to implementation of the wage code.
Will be still will be now will be processing only.
Yes, it will be processing only because many states does not drafted their rules. Till then, all the state does not draft and finalize their rule, it cannot be implemented.
Okay. This will be maybe
possibly by August or September, possibly it may be implemented.
Fully
implemented, yeah.
Okay, now will be old version only can will be using.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining this session.
Okay, thank you, sir. Well done. Will be sections, will be presentations. This are
yeah, of course. Everything you will be get very shortly from this.